live here for your May primary coverage. First time we've ever done a primary coverage, but same as always, we're going to have your results right here. I'm currently joined by John Muse and Brandon Johnson. We got a ton of great workers out at the various polling places. We've got some folks in studio. We're going to be talking to some candidates. And it's going to be a good night of election coverage.
Brandon, talk a little bit about how we got here to this point with the primary and some of the contested races that actually, will affect the general election tonight.
Absolutely, John. Chaos and shenanigans. No, I'm just kidding. But Tom's viewers, welcome to the show tonight. So honored to be here with you guys. Three of us and some of our other friends under Kelly Jo's direction have been doing this for about a decade, so it's always great. You can see the studio keeps getting nicer. The technology keeps advancing, so we're trying to bring you guys the best coverage we can. But John, great questions. How did we get here? What is going on? Why are we having a May election? And I will tell you, it is a push from partisan politics. Now, whether you think that's a good thing or a bad thing, we'll let you decide about that, Tom's viewers. But what's really interesting is there was a huge push this year for the first time in about 30 years from the Democrats of Campbell County to have a primary election. So a group of Democrats got together, and the way that the rules and regulations and laws work is actually the local parties get to decide if we are having a primary or not. So the Democrats got together. They were the ones to fire the first shot. They said, hey, we are having a Democrat primary. The Republicans,
which tons of people got petitions for, by the way.
Yes. We do have one Democrat on the ballot today, and they're running uncontested for the Democrat nomination. We'll get into some of those particulars, and there'll be one Democrat on the ballot in August. So, personal opinion, this has been a whole lot of taxpayer money, not necessarily at the local level. The state is paying for this primary, but lots of money spent for something that maybe we needed, maybe we didn't. Again, I'll let you guys decide on that. But Democrats decided we were having a primary. Republicans answered, and here we are. Now, one really, what I would consider negative thing about this is when you are having a partisan primary, it enacts something called the Hatch Act. And what that means that if you are a federal employee, like Mailman Kits, for example, you cannot be a candidate in a partisan election. Even if you run as an independent, if there are people with R's and D's next to their name, you can't run. So one really negative thing that this did for Campbell County, in my opinion, is barred somebody like Mailman Kits from running. So he's having to give up his commission seat, which is really sad.
Mailman's been a great commissioner over the years. And I want to thank Mailman. He is at LMS right now. And there's been 125 folks that have voted there today, as of a few minutes ago when he texted.
Yeah, vote out for this, Pat, is really low because, again, folks are confused. I mean, even people in the know. I actually had a candidate texting me this morning, I won't say whose name appears on the ballot, and they had some really serious questions about this because, again, folks, it's been 30 years since we've done something like this. So you guys are going to see a lot of names pop up. I'm going to use Jimmy Jeffries as a great example. Jimmy, as many of you all know, is running for county mayor. He was the lone name for county mayor on the ballot today. He will win the Republican nomination for county mayor, and he'll advance to August, where he will go against the current mayor, Jack Lynch, who's running as an independent.
Now, I'll tell you, the last primary I remember in Campbell County, I remember very specifically, Roy Prim ran as a Republican for sheriff because I voted in the Republican primary because Preston Prim's one of my dear friends and his father was running for sheriff, so I went and gave him a vote in that primary. And I think Ron McClellan, who ran as a Democrat, actually won that election.
Well, and it's funny you bring up sheriff, Pat. Tonight, the sheriff race is going to be decided tonight. So again, first time in some 30 years that we have known who's going to be our sheriff for the next 4 years this early. And so again, instead of an independent or a Democrat running for sheriff, we have two Republicans, our incumbent sheriff, Eddie Wayne Barton, and the individual running against him or for the office of longtime police officer Daryl Chapman. Oh. So tonight, we will have results from that race. And folks, we've already got some results coming in here.
And while we wait on Pat to get the results, you were talking about the sheriffs only being able to run, a write-in could technically run.
No, great question, John. So again, I'm just kind of chit-chatting here at this point while we wait for results to come in. But to actually, and this applies to tonight too, to run as a write-in, you can't just show up at the poll, and even if 1,000 people write in, John Muse for county mayor, and that would win you the election, you can't even do that. That's a fun fact, common misconception. You actually have to go to the election commission and fill out a paper to be considered as a write-in. So, for example, Travis Thompson is hoping to secure the Republican nomination tonight for school board in the 4th District, where he will continue into August, and he will take on Ronnie Lasley, who is running as an independent. Even if everybody in the 4th District wrote Travis Thompson, if he hadn't gone to the election commission several weeks ago, signed his name, he couldn't be a candidate, which is kind of crazy. I never even knew it worked that way.
Got some results coming in?
Not yet.
I do.
Oh, you do?
I do. Yes, we have some results. This is from this is 5th District. This is from the La Follette Recreation Center. This is from Jeremy Young. I'm going to let you all just take my phone here and flip through these.
It's always good to hear from Jeremy as
Hello,
well.
Jeremy.
Long time
You're on
contributor.
there. You can
And
enlarge
I've got
that.
a 3rd District result coming in, Kelly Jo.
Awesome. Wonderful. We're going to get this show on the road.
Some, results myself.
Now, guys, in the corner, you're going to see Josh Griffin down there in the lower right corner. Josh is, well, I'll let you all if you can hear me, Josh is actually in Colorado. I'm not on camera. I should probably say this. He's in Colorado. So he is actually working our spreadsheets live tonight. And so he's just kind of hanging out down there in the corner, and he's going to be updating our pages as we go.
So real quick, I'm just going to talk about first the races that really matter this evening. Every race matters, but the ones that are truly contested. I've got West La Follette, some interesting results coming out of West La Follette. Darrell Chapman is leading Eddie Wayne Barton. So we've got Darrell Chapman with 29 votes, Sheriff Barton with 24 there. Yet again, we've got an interesting race in County Clerk. Maria Parton is trailing Lance Wilson in this precinct. 29 to Lance Wilson, 25 to Maria Baird Parton.
Okay, and that's what precinct?
That is at West La Follette Elementary.
West La Follette Elementary.
Reported by Carly.
Okay,
All
Carla
right, now
Huguenard.
I have some results.
Okay, let's make sure. Josh, are you caught up?
Excuse me. Sorry. No, I'm trying to get them entered now.
Okay.
It was kind of quick. So I think we said 29 for.
Repeat those one more time, Brandon.
Yeah, Sheriff, 29 for Darrell Chapman, 24 for Eddie Wayne Barton. And folks, while these are coming in, we'll go through the contested ones. That's good with everybody on the team, and then we'll circle back to the uncontested ones.
Okay.
And then County Clerk, Maria Parton trails Lance Wilson. Maria Parton with 25, Lance Wilson with 29.
I do have the West La Follettes when we're ready.
Are you ready, Josh?
I am. Yep, I'm ready.
Okay.
Okay, this is from the Rec Center precinct, 5th District.
Okay.
County Clerk, Maria Parton 7, Lance J. Wilson 13. This is a really interesting one. The sheriff's race, both candidates have 11 votes at West La Follette.
At West La Follette.
Not West La Follette, at the Rec Center precinct, rather.
Thank you.
I think those are the only contested in that precinct. Because 2nd District School Board's the other contested race.
Yep.
So I've got the other results as well.
Do you have some results, John?
I think
there's
if you'll take, I think we've got to have some more votes come in from T.J. Wilson.
I've
Or
got
TJ
a
Haggard.
pending,
Okay.
but I couldn't quite tell from the pictures a little blurry, so I asked them to resend the picture.
Now, the 2nd District School Board is a race that will have a Republican, a Democrat, and an independent running in it.
That is correct. And the Republican nomination is the one contested. So I'm really interested to see, we've got a really strong showing, just a couple precincts in. We don't want to say that those couple precincts are going to determine everything.
Valley View has came in Wayne Barton, 109 votes. Daryl Chapman, 62 votes.
109 to 62. And that was which
County
precinct? I'm
clerk,
sorry.
Maria Baird Parton, 94 votes. Lance J. Wilson, 73 votes. And those were sent in by Sophia DeMont. Thank you, Sophia.
And which precinct was this?
That was Valley View.
And when you're ready,
Valley
Josh, I have
View.
the Demery precinct.
All right, give me Valley View one more time. I'm sorry, it's kind of the way that these tabs are. I'm having to flip back and forth between races. Valley View for county clerk one more time there, John.
Valley View, County Clerk, Maria Baird Parton, 94. Lance J. Wilson, 73.
Okay. And what else did you have from Valley View?
Did you get the sheriff? Sheriff's was 109 for Eddie Wayne Barton, 62 for Daryl Chapman.
All right, let's see. Well,
And I reported on West Saffolet. You know, the polls that you're reporting just now, Pat and John, are opposite of what we saw at West Saffolet. When I ran for school board a few years ago, West Saffolet was opposite the rest of the district, and so that was pretty interesting. I wonder if that will continue this evening.
How the trends go.
Yeah.
All right, Josh, we've got Demery next.
one
Okay.
second, Kelly Jo. On the Valley View, Daryl Chapman got how many votes? I'm sorry, I'm going to grab something to write these
62.
down with because of how I'm having 62.
It's okay.
Thank you. How I'm having to flip back and forth between precincts. So Demery on the sheriff.
109 for Eddie Wayne Barton.
No, did you say
No,
Demery?
No. Demery.
Demery the sheriff.
Mhm.
Eddie Wayne Barton, 86 votes. Daryl Chapman, 56 votes.
All right. What else have we got from Demery?
The county clerk's office, Maria Parton, 50 votes. Lance J. Wilson, 93 votes.
All right.
I've got Pinecrest here now,
Okay.
if you're ready for that.
Just tell me which race.
Pinecrest Sheriff, Eddie Wayne
Sheriff.
Barton, 61 votes. Daryl Chapman, 17 votes.
And that's Alan Miller.
Do
out
you
of
need
Pinecrest.
that repeated?
I've got it. I'm following. It's like, so if we go precinct first and then race, it's a lot easier for me to hash through this. So
Precinct then race. Okay.
Pinecrest County Clerk, Maria Parton, 25 votes. Lance Wilson, 54 votes.
Very strong showing from Lance. We're going to have a neck and neck race there. I will tell you, it's very early. You know, Wayne Barton is going to carry what I would imagine a very commanding lead in the 5th district once we start getting those in. I'm not certain that we see Daryl Chapman being competitive enough in districts 1 through 4 to overcome what's going to be Sheriff Barton's margin in the 5th, almost assuredly. I think we're going to see Sheriff Wayne Barton stay, but we're not ready to call that race yet, of course.
Now, interesting thing about
But while
that
y'all are
race-
talking, I'm sending Angie around there. She's got Jacksboro Middle and 2 others.
Interesting thing about that race, even though it's decided tonight, even if Daryl Chapman were to defeat Barton, he would not take over until after the August election.
Correct.
Come on in here, Angie.
Everybody say hi to Angie.
Hello,
Hey,
Angie.
Angie.
guys.
We've got Angie's list.
Angie.
Just a
All
joke.
right, so I've got Jacksboro Middle,
Jacksboro
4th
Middle.
District. This is County Commission.
Let's do sheriff.
Sheriff
Sheriff
and
first.
County Court Clerk.
Okay, perfect. All right, Sheriff
and
District.
okay.
Wayne Barton, 101. Daryl Chapman, 44.
All right. And then for county clerk.
County Clerk, we've got Maria Parton, 85. And Lance Wilson, 59.
Someone else has texted.
Okay,
Sure who this is.
County Clerk.
Oh, we've got College Hill.
Josh, are you good?
I'm good. We can roll on
That's-
with College Hill.
College
Megan
Hill.
Gibson. College Hill. This is a tighter one. We're going to go with the sheriff's race. Eddie Wayne Barton has 29 votes. Daryl Chapman has 27 votes.
And for county clerk.
Let me find where he is sent. These are kind of chopped up order-wise. And someone else is texting me.
Well, while we wait on
I've got it. I've got it. Also a very tight one. Maria Parton, 27 votes. Lance Wilson, 18. But we also need to do school board on this one.
Okay, let me get over to school board. All right.
Tell me when you're ready.
District 2 school board.
Emily Suzanne Gaylor, 18 votes. Christopher James Lee Honeycutt, 37 votes.
And we've got Carroll Elementary coming in. Angie?
We've got Carroll Elementary Sheriff, Wayne Barton, 134. Daryl Chapman, 63. The county clerk, Maria Parton, 101. Lance Wilson, 88.
So we see that county clerk rates continue to be very, very tight.
I now have La Follette Elementary School. We're going to start with the sheriff. Tell me when you're ready, Josh. That's East La Follette on the precinct sheet.
Josh, it's East La Follette. Did you get that?
Okay. I've
Okay,
got that. Yep.
perfect.
Sheriff's race. Eddie Wayne Barton, 49 votes. Daryl Chapman, 67 votes.
Okay, I do want to clarify real quick. I've got an East La Follette, which is District 2, Precinct 2, and a La Follette Elementary, District 2, Precinct 3.
La Follette Elementary is the actual district. East La Follette would be the La Follette Middle School. So
Okay.
La Follette Elementary is the proper one for that,
Okay.
not East La Follette.
Okay, so then we'll move the 49 and 67 to that and clear that out from the East La Follette there.
When you're ready, I have
Hold
the
on.
County clerk, La Follette Elementary.
La Follette Elementary County Clerk, Patrick.
county clerk. We have Maria Parton, 60 votes. Lance J. Wilson, 53 votes. I also have school board there.
Okay, let me move down to school board. And that will be District 2 also.
Emily Suzanne Gaylor, 40 votes. Christopher James Lee Honeycutt, 65 votes.
And folks, I've got Campbell County High School, which is a big precinct in the 3rd District. Josh, let me know when you're ready for those.
All right, let me get back to sheriff and county clerk. And you said Campbell County High School. I am ready for sheriff.
Great. Leading the ticket is Eddie Wayne Barton II with 48 votes. And Daryl Chapman with 32.
All right, and then county clerk.
County clerk, Maria Baird Parton with 42. Lance J. Wilson with 35. And Tom's, you know, I don't know about you two. I'll wait till we're all three in agreement. I'm comfortable calling the sheriff's race based on the precincts that
I
we're
am
seeing.
too.
I have Alder Springs here, thanks to Claire Cass and our friends at Bridges of Recovery who are out there for us. Eddie Wayne Barton, 25 votes.
Oh, I'm sorry, which precinct
11.
is this?
This is Alder Springs.
Alder.
Springs. And Barton, 25.
25, Daryl Chapman, 11. County clerk, Maria Parton, 16. Lance J. Wilson, 19. And I have some Elk Valley results here from the 5th District, from Jenny McDaniel.
All right, moving over to sheriff, Elk Valley. Let's go.
Eddie Wayne Barton, 48 votes. Darrell Chapman, 5 votes. As Brandon was talking about the 5th district advantage for Sheriff Barton.
Are we ready to call it for Sheriff Barton?
County Clerk, Elk Valley, Maria Parton, 37. Lance J. Wilson, 16.
All right.
The Wynn Habersham results are in.
All right. Habersham for sheriff.
Eddie Wayne Barton, 75 votes. Darrell Chapman, 14. County Clerk, Maria Baird Parton, 38. Lance J. Wilson's 44. That clerk's office is close and flipping back and forth between a lot of districts.
Yeah, all I need is
Hey. Let's see.
All right. I believe, Patrick, you said you had some
Veronica
school
Bolton
board.
and Habersham results. Thank you, Veronica Bolton, for that.
What was that you said, Josh?
I thought, Patrick, I seem to remember Patrick holding for some school board results.
School board results? Did you get school board
I
results?
thought I gave you the school board
No,
results.
we're still waiting on
Okay.
East Follett.
I'm still waiting on. Do we not do East Follett School Board?
No.
No, we don't got Lisa Fall. You just follow the elementary.
Hey, I'm giving instructions to another pollster.
Okay, here are the results from, let's see, I believe this was Newcomb. Yes, the primary election in Newcomb. And these results come from Samuel McCullough. Thank you, Samuel, for this.
Yes.
Newcomb County Clerk first. Maria Baird Parton, 73. Lance J. Wilson, 10. Sheriff Eddie Wayne Barton, 85. Darrell Chapman, 0.
Wow.
The 5th district looks like it's coming in about 90% for Sheriff Barton right now.
Yeah. That's what I've said about this sheriff race from the beginning, John, is if you're going to run against Sheriff Barton, you got to be prepared that 20% of the vote from the 5th district is going to vote for him, period. And so he's only going to get 30% more throughout the rest of the county to compensate for that. So it's a very uphill battle. The 5th district sticks together, stays together. It is a strong voting bloc and a very strong part of our county.
Let's give a rundown of the totals right now, and then we can make some calls, I feel like, if Brandon,
Yeah, guys, I would also, not maybe be too premature in calling this because early voting turnout was astronomical this year.
There were
That's,
like 1,500 early votes.
That's
I had
true.
heard to 2,000.
It would take a large swing, I feel like, the swing thing. But it's possible. It's happened before.
With Sheriff Barton taking over 67% of the vote right now, that is one of the highest vote percentages of an incumbent in recent history that had a serious candidate running against them. So I don't think there's a way possible that our friend Darrell Chapman is going to overcome this. I do think, unless something crazy happens with early voting, that Eddie Wayne Barton is going to enjoy a second term as our county sheriff.
Right. I think everything's pointing to Sheriff Barton right now.
I
just wanted to throw that out there. There were several people who early voted, so it'll be interesting to see how this
right now
comes.
from Jill and Abby that says, I think Barton has it. Yep, I do too. And then I just got a text that said, do you think Maria will win? This is going to be the race of the evening. Maria Baird Parton has a really strong 5th district hold as well. Lots of people in the 5th district know and love her. We saw some commanding leads from her in some of the polling precincts there already. It's going to come really close. I don't know Mr. Wilson, heard great things about him. Guy in his 30s, has experience in the office. I think his mother held that office at one point.
She did. That's where I know him from.
Yeah. So,
Did you get the Denver results already?
Yes, we called Demery.
Okay.
What school board was it? East LaFollette? I've got the East LaFollette school board.
Oh, you got the East
I've got the East LaFollette school board.
East Follett would be, I believe, is that District 2?
Correct.
Second district. It's a competitive school board race. Chris Honeycutt's leading
and-
currently, I believe.
He still is.
Let's go with-
Emily Suzanne Gaylor has 18 votes. Christopher James Lee Honeycutt has 37 votes.
Okay. And I've got
All right, that's
Jacksboro
good.
Station from Tammy Shepard. Thank you. Maria Baird Parton, 133.
Oh, hold on one second. Let me get back over to
You're
the
good.
clerk's race. And you said this was which district? I'm sorry.
This is Jacksboro Station.
Jacksboro Station. All right. So county clerk, let's go. Parton.
County Clerk, Maria Baird Parton, 133 votes. Lance Wilson, 109.
All right.
Sheriff Eddie Wayne Barton, 157. Daryl Chapman with 82. So, if we were going to see a way where Daryl Chapman moves forward here, we've got to see much bigger numbers out of District 1 through 4 for Mr. Chapman.
Or dominating early votes.
Or just absolutely killing early votes. I mean, he's trailing by 500 votes right now. And early voting can sometimes be a little different than election day results, but when you take the county as a whole, very rarely does something change unless you have some kind of huge event happen.
I'll tell you an election that early voting changed. It was a city race. Because if you took election day, the first time I ran for Caryville, I lost by about 15 votes until early voting came in.
Yeah. And can we get, Josh, when you get a chance, can we get a total on the school board? I'm seeing Honeycutt with 139 and Emily Gaylor with 76, but if we can confirm that,
What
that'd
else
be
have you
great.
got?
Sure. If you'll flip over to Kelly Jo, if you'll use my screen share.
And now I'm showing your screen right now.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Hold on. I'm going to try to do
one,
it. I got you. Hold on.
Sure.
B, I think that, there we go. Now I got you.
There we go.
I'm going to, let me do that solo. Okay. Now.
There we go. So in School Board District 2, I've got Gaylor with 76, Honeycutt with 139.
Yep.
And I believe that's all the school board that we have reported so far.
What precincts are currently outstanding?
Great question. We're missing Wells Springs in the 1st district, which is a very small precinct, should not change anything.
4th District, Ridgewood.
We've got everything in from the 2nd district, everything in from the 3rd. We're missing a couple in the 4th and a few in the 5th. But folks, we are just patiently waiting on early voting, and we will know probably everything except for county court clerk.
And one of those 4th districts ones is Stony Fork, which is probably less than 50 votes, I would think.
Oh, I would say
That's
Stony
less
Fork.
than 15 votes.
If Stony Fork voted more than 5 today, I would be surprised. I'm really curious to see those numbers.
And we're waiting on Jellicoe Elementary and White Oak from the 5th district.
Jellicoe Elementary is going to be coming in soon.
The White Oak, and they will come with the general election results from our
Yes.
Wednesday down at the County Election Commission.
We have Lindsay and Eli, a
And
little former quarterback guys down there.
Now,
Pitcher.
former pitcher, unfortunately.
Sweet little Eli's down there working for us.
This is what we got.
Okay, and you can't read it?
Nope, it's all zeros.
Oh, gosh. Let me text. I know somebody else that was working there. Let me text.
All right,
the
folks, I'm
haters.
hearing back from some candidates right now. Looks like Travis Thompson, I'm hearing he got 40 write-ins at JMS, 56 at Caryville, and 17 at Ridgewood. So he's going to need about 120 write-ins at early voting.
Actually,
I
John,
looked that up, Brandon. In Tennessee, for municipal and county races, you only need 25 write-in votes.
Great question. So we were confused about that as well, to the point where we actually had to talk with the coordinator of elections for the state of Tennessee. And there's actually in Tennessee Code annotated, this is your nerdy moment while we gather some numbers, there are conflicting statutes. So one statute said that you have to have 25, one statute says you have to have 5% of all registered voters in that district. There's a Tennessee State Supreme Court case, after talking with our coordinator of elections, Mark Goins, that says that the 5% is the threshold.
Okay, the 5%, the law says 5% for statewide offices or representatives, districts. It said 25 for county and municipal elections.
Yeah,
unfortunately, state law says. So it is confusing. Apparently, the state law says two different things.
And in fact, it does. Let me see if I can.
I would choose to follow the state law that says 25 if I were Travis, personally.
Let's see.
Okay, all right, we do have Ridgewood.
This is Chloe.
Ridgewood.
Welcome. Thank you, Chloe.
Let me get down here to it. And you want to begin with Sheriff on Ridgewood?
Yes. And Angie will step in here with that.
She's having to sort through them because they came in all together, so.
We're getting these text messages and it's pictures, and sometimes one picture loads faster than the other, so they're not necessarily in order. But thank you so much to everybody who's out for us tonight at the polling stations.
Yes. And thank you to all of you that are tuned in.
You done a great job. Thank you, viewers, candidates, whoever's watching. You're welcome to contact the Times, and Kelly just probably sent you a link to join our video if you want to. But thank you all for this, and this is just gearing up for the big one in August.
The volunteer times,
where community comes first.
the volunteer times.
Where community comes first.
Well, wasn't that just adorable? Aren't you just happy you got to see?
If I had a,
That was free.
While we're doing this, I want to say it's good to actually be back on election coverage. I did miss the last one other than a call-in.
Yeah.
So it's nice to be back in studio.
don't worry, Brandon spoke twice as much as normal when you weren't here.
I filled in for you, Pat. Don't worry.
Brandon's always got your back.
Would you like to touch my next card?
No, I'm good. But I have heard from a reliable source that George Hooks has received a write-in vote for mayor.
George received a write-in vote for school board in the 5th district.
Take you back to the first one.
It may not count now, unfortunately, with the new write-in rules we've all found out about recently.
Daryl Chapman, who got it other than Wayne Barton.
And we will have the results of all the other races, the vote totals for all the other races. But we are just focusing on the competitive races currently, the ones that are going to affect the general election ballot. And by that, we mean, of course, that everyone else on the ballot that we've not mentioned so far will automatically advance to the general election due to the nature, for instance, Brandon talked about the 3 seats that are running in the 4th district. Those 3 will all appear on the ballot in the general election versus the independent candidates from the 4th district.
Yeah.
So
it does look like.
Okay, well, she can go ahead and at least give them the totals for Barton, and we're going to wait to get them for Daryl Chapman. Had a little hiccup when our person sent them in on Ridgewood, and Angie can explain it there.
Yeah, this is Ridgewood, Sheriff Barton, 75 votes.
Can you hear that, Josh?
I hear you.
Okay.
I'm clear.
Well, but Daryl Chapman's, when our person took them, when they took the photos, it clipped before they got Daryl's numbers, and then it went down to write-ins. So I've just texted her back, and I'm asking her to see if she's got any other photos of that. Well, I hate that happened. Obviously, it was an accident.
you have the county clerk numbers.
She'll have that. I'm going to step outside. We'll get on the camera.
County clerk from Ridgewood is Maria Parton, 49 votes. Lance Wilson, 56.
So Lance has won several districts now or several polling locations now, and so has Maria. So that was quite a tight race between those two. And once again, this is for them to appear on the general election ballot come August.
In which Tyler King will be running as an independent for that particular office.
Tyler is leaving behind his spot on the county commission.
We're going to have a vastly new county commission come August.
Yes, there are about half likely.
We'll have 3 new ones in the 5th, guaranteed, because none of them are in, and 2 new ones in the 4th guaranteed because Gobert and Erica Simpson did not run. And Mailman will obviously not be able to run due to the Hatch Act.
Yep.
So
we see Maria Parton. I mean, that's going to be the race to watch tonight. We see this race is likely going to be decided by early voting.
In Ridgewood, Daryl got 34.
So 34 for Daryl and Ridgewood. But I said, barring just a miracle.
Did you
coming
get
out
that
early
one,
vote for
Josh?
Daryl Chapman.
I got it added.
Wayne
Okay,
Barton
thank
is
you.
going to continue being the sheriff of the
Yeah.
county.
All of the big precincts have already reported.
All of the large precincts have voted. In the second district, Chris Honeycutt is leading Emily Gaylor by quite a good margin there. I'll be interested to see what those early voting numbers look like. I will tell you, both candidates worked very hard. Emily was out there knocking a whole bunch of doors. So it'll be interesting to see how early voting shows that.
And you know, I have a long history with Chris Honeycutt. I've only heard Emily talk. Either one of them will be an excellent candidate for school board.
Yeah, and Chris Honeycutt's commanding about 65% of the vote right now. Those are going to be hard margins for Emily to overcome. But again, we're just patiently waiting for early voting numbers.
It has taken a strangely long amount of time the last couple of election cycles for early voting and everything to be released.
Yeah. And then to find out if Travis Thompson's going to get 120 votes, which is what it looks like he needs. I just got a bizarre text. Can you say anything about the 3rd District School Board race? How's it going? Well, there is no 3rd District School Board race. Can we circle back? I just got Sheriff Barton's camp is asking for the totals for East La Follette and La Follette Elementary. East La Follette and La Follette Elementary for Sheriff
I
Barton.
believe
We've
East
had-
La Follette is the one we don't have.
No, you do, from Mailman.
Oh, La Follette Elementary.
La Follette Elementary is the one that Carmen was on,
Carmen's got
but they have posted all zeros on their tape total on the door.
Okay.
And so I've been making phone calls trying to get in.
But I will go ahead and get the ones Mailman sent me.
Okay, and they said send her back. Okay. All right. Well, okay.
I do have Ridgewood if we need it.
Let's go ahead and do Ridgewood while I look at these
Let me
totals.
go ahead and get Carmen back over.
I think we just did.
So is this Ridgewood for
We have
sheriff?
Ridgewood first.
Angie read off Ridgewood. Those are from Chloe Wright.
Yeah.
The only thing I'm missing in 4th District is Stony Fort.
Yeah, we'll get the Stony Fort totals for you from the election commission itself with Lindsay Lawson.
The sheriff's numbers from LMS.
Okay.
It is Eddie Wayne Barton, 49. Daryl Chapman, 67.
Yeah, that's one of the precincts that Daryl won.
You got to remember, Daryl served as the constable in that district at one point. Daryl has been a member of both Kerrville and La Follette Police Department, so people in the 2nd and 4th know Daryl probably better than anywhere else.
Yeah, certainly. Again, strong campaign from Daryl Chapman. I saw him even last night, late night, putting out signs. Strong campaign from the sheriff as well. You couldn't pay me enough money to be sheriff, so hats off to both of those individuals.
You
for their
got to pay me
willingness to
enough
serve.
money to run a county-wide campaign.
Yeah.
So I have a very happy daughter loading dogs right now into her car again, who's on her way back to get those numbers from LES. So
Well, it wasn't Carmen's fault that they were mistakenly put up there.
anyway, it'll be about
She was-
60 seconds and we'll have them. So that's good.
But looks like the race of the night is going to be for our Republican nomination for county court clerk. Now, again, Tom's viewers, this is just who is going to get the Republican nomination. So they're going to continue on. You'll see a race between either Maria Baird Parton or Lance Wilson against Tyler King. Tyler King has worked in the clerk's office for several years, county commissioner in the 5th District. So you'll see one of those two individuals is a Republican running against Tyler, who is the independent candidate.
And as a point about the commission primaries, if you ran in the commission primary, you're going to be on the August ballot because there weren't enough people running in those races to make it where it's a competitive thing where someone's being eliminated. Also, Marvin Rutherford will be on the ballot as a Democrat in that 2nd District School Board race, as the sole Democrat that picked up a petition.
I just got a text from the election commission. They're still waiting on the early voting totals to be released. So thank you to the Lawson family who are down there.
Yes, And real quick, let's just give a shout out to Mallory. I'm going to double up the screen here real quick. Mallory Rosenfeld. Yes, and the actual board members there. I've got them up on the screen. They bless their hearts. I don't envy them this time of year. Not
They
at
still
all.
have to do 2 more of these this year.
Yeah. So thank you, Mallory, for all the hard work that you do and your whole team, your whole staff, and obviously to the election commission. That's Jamie Ball, Dean Sexton, Oscar Federick, Brent McNeely, and Brian Yance. Thank you.
And to everybody also, I want to thank, and I'm sure it stands for all of us, everybody who works the polls during the day, that sits there all day and brings in the voters and signs them up and sends them through the lines. And you have to just, Mallory and those guys have to organize just a large number of those people from every district across the county. And those people stay there all day, 12 hours a day. And it's a labor of love, I guess, basically. Love of democracy, one might say.
I mean, we are blessed to live in a country where we do have free elections. Not everybody around the world can say this. Not everybody around the world gets to watch a show with bated breath to see whose candidate got what.
Yeah.
While we are waiting on some of the actual fresh results to come in, if Josh is ready, we can start reading off some of the other totals from the election if you want to do that.
I'm ready if you'll.
And we will break in, of course, whenever early voting does arrive.
The best way to do this may just be to go by race and then read down the precincts.
Okay, well,
if you can, if you want to
start
start with
county
precinct.
mayor. This is County Mayor Pinecrest. Jimmy Jeffries has 49 votes in Pinecrest for county mayor.
Okay.
County mayor for Elk Valley. Jimmy Jeffries received 38 votes.
All right.
County mayor Valley View. Jimmy Jeffries received 114 votes.
I have results.
These may be perfect results.
This is from La Follette Elementary.
Okay, so she's down there now raising Cain, I'm sure. Okay.
So then, in the previous La Follette Elementary should have been actually East La Follette. Is that correct?
No, we have La Follette Elementary. I believe we're looking for East La Follette.
Which one's
Carmen is at La Follette Elementary.
We have East La Follette with mailman kids.
Yeah, La Follette Elementary School is what this one is. It can be so confusing.
This should be the final non-early voting totals of the bigger precincts.
Sheriff Eddie Wayne Barton, 128. Daryl Chapman, 67.
What a strange dichotomy that La Follette Elementary School and La Follette Middle School are beside of each other. And Daryl Chapman won La Follette Elementary's precinct. And
County Clerk Maria Parton, 106. Lance J. Wilson, 86. And this is one with a contested school board.
This one may decide the school board outside of the early voting potential, but this could possibly lean it heavily.
Emily Suzanne Gaylor,
board
77. Christopher James Lee Honeycutt, 112. Which gives Chris a pretty substantial lead. Brandon's doing math.
Could you, Patrick, could you give me I'm sorry, I'm on the wrong, never mind. Excuse me, I was on the Democrat primary. So you said, I had 18 and 37 for College Hill, also 18 and 37 for East La Follette, and then 40 and 65 for La Follette Elementary. Do we want to try to clean that up and get that straight on the school board?
Well, this is La Follette Elementary. I'm going to give you right now.
Are you ready?
Sheriff's ready.
Wait just a second,
Okay,
Pat.
sorry.
Holler when you're ready.
I'm talking about school board.
School board.
Yeah, school board. I had a discrepancy there, and I just want to get it cleaned up.
School board is Emily Suzanne Gaylor, 77. Christopher James Lee Honeycutt, 112.
Okay, so I think we're good there with College Hill at 18 for Gaylor and 37 for Honeycutt. And then East of Follett, 40 for Gaylor, 65 for Honeycutt. And La Follette Elementary, 77 and 112, with Honeycutt winning all three precincts.
Okay, and you already announced everything from Carmen, right? You already
Of
did.
the contested race.
Okay, good, perfect. All right, because it just came into my phone. I wanted to make sure. I wasn't paying attention. I was running cameras.
I would suspect early voting should show up sometime in the next 5 to 10 minutes. It normally takes to around 8:45 to 9 o'clock in the past few elections to get it in. So those will be some big numbers to come in due to all the early votes. But it would really take really flip percentages versus the in-person voting in order to shift some of these races at this point.
Which is not impossible, but less likely.
And that would be, the Sheriff Barton's big advantage in the 5th district. They would have to have low early voting turnout in the 5th compared to other areas too for that to.
I'm probably needing a higher early voting turnout in the 2nd and 4th.
Yes.
Yeah, again, what'll be interesting to see if Travis Thompson does need to get the 230 number that he's been talking about. He's at 113 right now. So it will be very interesting to see if he can get the rest through early voting. Now, I'll tell you, I would imagine there would be more early vote write-ins for him than election day, because those are people that are going to be very intentional about their voting.
Correct. If you went to early vote in the 4th district, that race was probably on your mind.
Yes.
Now this is to, of course, contest Ronnie Lasley in the 4th in the general election.
Now, inversely, when we get to the general election, there will also be a write-in candidate for 1st District School Board. Jeffrey Miller, unopposed in the Republican primary, would get a Republican nod.
Yes. And here's what will be interesting is Travis will, if he gets that threshold, if he crosses that magic number of 5% of registered voters in his district, he will appear on the ballot in August, as opposed to the other write-in candidate in Becky, who is running against Jeff Miller in the 1st district as a write-in.
They're there and close to the front of the line to get them, so hopefully we'll be getting those numbers really soon.
So, folks, we are just waiting on early voting.
I saw Daniel.
Oh, yeah. Oh, no, not that one.
Getting some messages. Hello to Abby and Robbie and Jesse.
Yep. Robbie's one of my guys from way back. Always good to hear from my guy Robbie.
Getting all kinds of messages blowing up right now. Just talking state politics for a second while we have a moment. We're going to have a very contested August race for state representative with Noah Smith, former school board member, running against longtime incumbent Dennis Powers. Representative Powers is actually in Nashville right now.
Special
called session. And sorry, I was making sure with Kelly Jo I'm good to keep rambling.
Oh, yeah, I was just getting some
session
info
going on right now in your state legislature where they are going to be talking about redistricting the congressional districts throughout the whole state of Tennessee.
Now, point of that, if they redistrict it, will that go into effect before the November election?
From my understanding, it will not. We need to know. Don't have a good answer on that, depending on how they do it, because nothing like this has really ever been done. From President Trump and Senator Marsha Blackburn have put a lot of pressure on the Tennessee General Assembly. So Governor Lee went ahead and called a special session. Folks, they could look at redistricting Campbell County out of. So right now, if you live in Campbell County, you're either represented by Congressman Chuck Fleischman, who's based out of Chattanooga, or there's a part of Campbell County that is represented by Congressman Tim Burchett, who lots of folks know and love.
And that's mostly the 5th district from our voting perspective, correct?
Correct, yeah. Some of Jacksboro, some of Caryville, some of Jellicoe. that kind of sliver is with Tim Burchett. The rest goes south towards Chattanooga.
From my time on Carroll City Council, we always dealt with Congressman Fleischman and his representative Tammy, who is an excellent representative. And I can say Congressman Fleischman's been good to us in Carroll.
Yeah, and Congressman Burchett's been great. But what's interesting, one of the maps is going to put us potentially with a bunch of counties. The ones that I've seen either loop us in with Upper East Tennessee, so maybe Johnson City area. Some of them loop us in with counties like north of Nashville and in Middle Tennessee. So I'm really nervous. I've told our state representative and our state senator both that, hey, if we go to be redistricted, I want to be represented by somebody from East Tennessee.
Correct.
Even if they're in Johnson City, I could be happy with that. But if we're represented by someone that may be in Middle Tennessee, I just don't know how that would work or if I could really support that. So it'll be interesting to see. So your state representative is in Nashville right now. Please reach out to his office. I know he appreciates feedback. And again, we've got one heck of a race
Email him.
coming
He
up.
loves emails.
He does, yeah. We've got one heck of a race coming up between Dennis and Noah. John, what's your thoughts?
Well, according to how many teachers vote, I guess you would say. A lot of the incumbents and across the whole state of Tennessee angered a lot of teachers and their families this year.
Yeah, with the voucher stuff. I'll tell you from a school board perspective, the voucher money and other things like that have made it harder for us to budget. Many of you guys have seen us working through our budget, which was just approved by the school board and earlier this week approved. It's been approved by county commission, so we are eager for that.
The voucher rollout amounted to $1.8 million per Tennessee school district.
Wow.
So, could we have used that $1.8 million extra dollars?
Yes.
Quite badly, we could have used it, but that's how much the vouchers were, $1.8 million per school district in Tennessee.
But it's been a long time since we've seen a contested state representative race.
In a Republican primary.
Yeah, in a Republican primary.
We had a Democratic candidate a few years ago.
We did. And, Dennis Powers, I think I looked at his financial disclosure. He's got something north of $100,000 ready to spend. Noah Smith, I think, he had 40 with plans to raise even more. So it'll be really interesting to see. We may be looking at potentially, $200,000 dumped into Campbell County, Union, and Claiborne counties over a state representative race.
I was just about to ask, the representatives likely comes from Campbell County because we have a larger voting block than those two.
And it's not all of Anderson County that's in that as well.
No, Claiborne, you mean?
Claiborne. And I was going to ask you to speak on which all counties they represented, but you just did. So, yeah, at least the representatives are probably still going to be from Campbell County unless Noah Smith moves or Dennis moves.
yeah. I don't think any likelihood of that happening. So
I mean, if Noah could get his entire family to vote, he'd be doing pretty well there.
There are a bunch of them.
There's a lot of those Smiths out there.
At least 37 kids, right?
Right. I mean, Joe's going to be eligible to vote this time.
Yeah. So they're going to be bringing in some votes. I'm getting some reports, just getting some information about Sheriff Barton actually getting big votes in White Oak. No surprise there. Again, I just do not see a human way possible that Daryl Chapman is able to overcome this difference. Sheriff Barton, 67% of the vote to Daryl Chapman's 33%. You're looking at the other big contested race tonight, which is your school board in our 2nd district. Emily Gaylor coming in with 38% of the vote so far. Now we're still waiting on early voting, but Chris Honeycutt coming in with 62%. I don't think that margin is going to be big enough for Emily to overcome. But I'll tell you, as a candidate, myself just 2 years ago, waiting for those early voting numbers.
We were sweating it out.
Nerve-wracking, yeah.
Now, I do remember, Patrick,
Brandon, do you have those numbers from White Oak, or are you just
no, just getting
we don't have
reports.
confirmed numbers yet.
Yeah,
Okay.
White Oak is the one I struggled with. That's all on me.
I do have, Brandon may be getting information from the same source as me, but I got a unconfirmed Jellicoe and White Oak report for Sheriff Barton, and they were very large margins in his favor. But we're waiting on when we get the early voting, we'll also have the voting for all the districts and all the precincts. It should have it with it. They should release all that at the same time. We'll have vote totals for everyone in every race coming soon, just as soon as those get printed off down at the Election Commission.
And what'll be interesting to see tonight, John, is how many votes Daryl Chapman is able to get. And would that have changed if Daryl ran as an independent, or if the sheriff ran as an independent and the other had the R next to their name. We don't know, folks, how big of a difference having that R next to your name is going to make. It'll be interesting to see in the county clerk race with either Lance or Maria. One of them will be advancing forward with an R next to their name against an independent. It'll be really interesting to see in our second district in our school board race, where I do think we have an independent candidate who is running.
You have an independent, a Democrat, and a Republican.
Yeah, so it'll be interesting to see, first time only race in Campbell County where there'll be a Republican, a Democrat, and an independent, all three running. Interesting to see how that's going to kind of shape up. So,
Well, I would rather they not have done the primary. Just as we talked about, it's a lot of money spent.
And even though the state funded it this time, is there a guarantee the state's always going to fund it?
great questions. And, again, I support, as much opportunities, or as many opportunities, I should say, for folks to get out there, put, an R or a D next to their name, make sure the citizens of Campbell County really know. But I know there's a lot of candidates that were just morally unsure of how to identify, and these labels that we put on ourselves as Republicans or Democrats. When I choose to talk about my political thoughts personally, I choose to say that I'm a conservative. Not everything in either party is anybody always going to agree with. And sometimes when you put that label next to your name, especially if you're doing something like sheriff or judge, some of these things, where do partisan politics matter?
That's what I would say too. It's just, this race comes down to, these are people in your community that you know and you like.
Yeah,
and
bingo.
I don't think it matters what letters beside a name.
Here,
if you know and like the candidate, you're going to vote for that.
Here's another thing. I hate to say this, it's just the general thing. Let's say Brandon ran in the Republican primary, I ran in the Democratic primary, and John's running for an independent for the same office. And let's say that Brandon and I both take funds from our party. Now are we beholden to our party who gave us funds? Whereas John the independent is taking no funds from either party.
Got a report from the commission office down there that they're currently trying to verify the spelling of names on write-in votes, and that's why the early voting and everything else is being held up right now.
Travis Thompson, this is your fault. No, I'm just kidding. No, it was an interesting,
I assume George Hooks' name was spelled correctly on the ballot where he got some votes.
So,
Did you spell his name right?
Yes.
Okay.
I can pretty confidently say that both of our write-in candidates, Travis Thompson, who's mounted this campaign for the Republican primary, for the Republican nomination for school board, and what we see coming in the first district come August, both of those campaigns were spurred by some of the decisions that the school board made when it came to our director of schools and what that process looked like. And thankfully, all that's been put to bed. We've got an interim director of schools who will be the full-time director of schools come in just a couple of weeks. We've been working on her contract right now, and I think the voters and the folks in Campbell County are going to be very happy with our next director of schools. But, we see two folks who missed the deadline to actually fill out the petition and end up on the ballot the traditional way, and said, listen, I'm not happy with the representation I'm receiving right now. I'm going to run as a write-in.
And this is the first time I can recall in my memory of seeing a true write-in candidate going through the procedures.
Yeah. And like John was talking about earlier, very, very confusing procedures.
Which again, nobody else has done this, so brave new world. Sort of like with the primary, we didn't know what to expect tonight vote total wise.
Yeah.
When was the last primary? 1996?
1996.
A long, long time ago.
I can still remember.
That was just a couple of years ago when I graduated high school. That's not.
You're younger than me and Pat. That's
Yes.
true. Gosh.
Now, there are going to be some hotly contested commission races come August. Like I said, there's going to be a bunch of new commissioners. But then we're also going to have some folks. Brittany Miller-Faust ran in the primary. She's going to remain our Register of Deeds. Bobby Van will remain our court clerk, our circuit court clerk.
We should be, I'm getting early voting numbers are coming in, is what folks are saying. I'm also getting reports that at Sheriff Barton's event that he's having this evening at his home, there's about 150 people there.
I think
Yeah.
everyone on the
Half
voted
in
for
Jellicoe. Yeah.
Angelico there too.
That's why I couldn't get any precincts covered in Jellicoe. They were all saying they were going to Barton's party. While we're waiting on that, I do want to thank Miss Angie for coming in. Angie was helping us a little bit tonight. We needed some extra phone numbers for texting, and Angie jumped up to the challenge. And we also have Miss April sitting over here. April was our Citizen of the Week. Pat, introduce April.
So, this is April. If you didn't read the Citizen of the Week article, she is in the process of getting a very good, would you refer to it as a ministry, a cause?
The mission.
Mission. It's to help people, specifically women who have been in a bad situation, who are starting over with either nothing or little, also with little knowledge. And this is going to give them a chance to have people give them a hand up, again, especially from a knowledge perspective. Whereas, let's assume you got married young, and you've never had to deal with the budgeting aspect of the household or the paying the bills aspect of the household. And suddenly, you're thrust out, and you have to go apply for utilities. It's
Helps you get on your feet again.
It's not the easiest task.
Let's start over.
Yeah.
That's noble. Congratulations on that. That's wonderful.
And you recently had a roundtable meeting at Manor House that went really well.
Yes, it did. We had several ladies show up who were excited to pitch in and help.
Good.
Do you have any other roundtables coming up?
They're in the process. We're talking.
Well, you'll have to have one here because we're starting ours back up.
Oh, that's
Hence the round
awesome.
table.
Yes.
And before I forget, we are going to start a new show in the Volunteer Times. It's going to be the Sunday evening retail hour. And Angie's actually going to kick off the first retail show that we're going to do with that. So she's going to be hosting that. And then we've got, then hopefully they'll open up for anybody. It's going to be a wide open hour for anybody who wants to come on and hit that audience of 44,000 people. So
I heard Pat was bringing back his wrestling show.
I am working on that.
Is that true? I was just joking.
Well, I mean, I'm working on getting some wrestling back in Campbell County.
he still
on a
has his
regular
ties.
basis.
Is what
He still has his, what are they called, Zubas?
I mean, I still have a lot of my Zubas.
Oh, gosh.
Lucky.
I mean, I debuted my
Moving
Jackson
on.
in Campbell County ones this year.
Let those early voting results come in before we have to have that discussion.
And I want to thank our very interactive audience on the Times.
Yeah.
There's a lot of great interaction on the post. We've got a big audience tonight, a lot of shares, a lot of comments.
Yeah, it's been running 425 all night. We're very grateful to you guys.
And so these write-in, I can't imagine, with how sloppy people write, especially if Patrick wrote someone in somewhere at some point. It would be tough to read the names and get them all confirmed.
Yeah, and I'm being told, it's just a reasonable quote unquote effort, so I don't know what they define as reasonable effort.
Like if I spell Travis Thompson without the H, they're probably gonna.
Yeah. You said without the H, I thought, is there an H in Travis? You can tell it's been a long day.
It has been.
The
So
power
again-
game never stops.
So again, Tom's viewers, we're not talking a whole lot about, Bobby Van's Republican nomination for circuit court clerk. And again, here's why. He's the only candidate running the circuit court clerk race. He's the only candidate that will be running in the August election. So Bobby Van is your next circuit court clerk. We'll continue doing that, what she's done for north of a decade. So we're not worrying about those races. We're not really talking about those races any. What we're really focused on tonight, Tom's viewers, is sheriff. We've got a huge sheriff election going on. This is the race that will be decided tonight. So arguably the most important race of this whole special
And
election.
it's often one of the more hotly contested of this election cycle anyway.
Yeah, sheriff is one of those things where It brings up a lot of emotions. People have really strong opinions. No matter who's running, and it's been that way my whole life, and I'll gamble your all's whole life as well.
It's a strangely stable office, though, for incumbents until they reach a certain point, usually around year 8 to 12. And once you get around there, you've made enough people and their families mad just by the nature of your job that it becomes hard to win.
Not like back in the day. My great grandfather Rose Kitts was sheriff, and so things have certainly changed since then.
Rose would win an election back then. If you can look back at it, sheriff ran in 2-year cycles.
Yeah.
And Rose would win an election, be sheriff for 2, 4, 6 years, and he would lose for a while. And then he would go back and win again for 2, 4, 6 years. So he ended up being sheriff over different spans from the 1940s to the 1970s.
Yeah.
But with this new 4-year system, Ron McClellan was a sheriff for a long time.
I think Ron had 4 terms.
He did have 4 terms, yeah.
And eventually, though, judges the same way. That's why the judging contests are usually hotly contested, especially like Bill Jones's seat.
Yeah.
And they're 8-year terms, so it's easier to make a lot of people mad in 8 years.
Yeah.
But again, it can be one of those positions.
And it's through no fault of their own. It's just them, the nature of their job. When you're a sheriff or you're in law enforcement or you're dealing with, as a judge, dealing with people, you're dealing with people with their worst moments all the time. And that's why Judge Jones was talking about the Boys and Girls Club to me, how just joyful it was to him to actually be able to do something like the Boys and Girls Club and see smiles on people's faces instead of what he usually has to put up with in court when people are sad. And usually, like I said, having some of the worst days of their life when they're before.
If I can interrupt just for 1 second, I don't have any results yet. Of course, we're still waiting. Daniel Lawson, thank you. Daniel, Lindsay, Eli, the whole family's down there trying to help us at early voting. But Josh, of course, being in Colorado tonight on work, I just want to give a shout out to him that we really appreciate what he's doing and doing this from a hotel room. He could be in his PJs with, kicked up with his feet under a pillow, just watching TV. But instead, he's sitting here clicking buttons. And anyway, just wanted to say thank you. Do you want to say anything, Josh? Hello, Josh, do you want to say anything? Okay, well, the screen went black. So I guess that's my answer.
Josh is in a snowstorm in Denver right now. So
that is true.
The blizzard may have gotten to him.
Yeah. That is true. He's in a snowstorm.
And Kelly Jo, just real quick, the folks that are out here at these precincts, I was at one myself just a couple years ago when I ran for election. It's nerve-wracking. When I ran, it was raining. These are not fun, glamorous jobs, so I want to give them a shout-out.
Oh, absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
Our first district team, Claire Cass, TJ Heatherly, Dina Miller, Sophia DeMont, thank you guys. Our second district team, Makai Gibson, Dwayne Melman Kitts, Carmen Wright. Third district, Holly Edders, Tammy Shepard, Carly Huguenard. Fourth district, Eli Lawson, Al Miller, Chloe Wright. And our fifth district, we've got Carly Wright pulling some double duty there.
And Jeremy's
Actually,
a young
Jeremy
help.
Young stepped in.
Good friend of the time, Jeremy.
Carly also sent me those results too, but Jeremy
Yes.
already sent them in. But
Yeah.
thank you, Carly.
Because Carly had to do double
I
time.
also want to wish Carly a big happy birthday.
It's her birthday today.
Yes. Is it?
No.
Doesn't she have a big birthday frequently?
Yeah,
It's
all
like
day.
every week.
Veronica Bolton, Sam McCullough, and then Lindsay Lawson is leading absentee early voting. So thank you guys. We couldn't do what we're talking about here without you guys out in the field helping us get those results quick.
The whole Lawson clan's down at the election commission, so thank you all. The first family of Cougar Sports there, she got the experience of being QB1's mom this year. Lindsay did, and Daniel got to be QB1's dad, and see them at all the football games.
And now they're going to have a Cougar cheerleader.
They are going to have a Cougar cheerleader.
She's very excited.
But just like I said, they're getting those write-ins confirmed right now, and this is quite a delay.
This is the longest delay for early voting I have witnessed in my adult life. But again, first time that we've got a write-in. So he's got to hit that magic number. I believe it's 230 votes of write-ins.
Now, his Facebook, he was always talking about the push to 300.
Yeah, I think he overestimated a little bit.
Sometimes it's better to shoot high.
Yes. And I do have a message from your City of La Follette Mayor, Scott Kitts. He said, tell everybody that the mayor of the City of La Follette congratulated everyone for their hard work and dedication, win or lose, because he knows what it's like for sure on both ends of that spectrum. It's very, very hard work. You won't find a politician who works harder than Scotty Kitts.
That's the truth.
Scott goes out, rain, snow, heat, doesn't matter.
He's there.
He's there all the time.
And he carries that through to his office.
Well, and when it snows, he'll call and he'll have buggies full of milk and bread, and he's giving them out to first come first serve.
He
People
did
that
work
come
in the
by
grocery store
out of his own
years ago.
pocket. Yeah,
It wasn't
yeah.
small and saw the milk and bread rushes himself.
So while we're talking, let's talk a little bit looking forward to August. Let's talk about county mayor. So we're going to see James, everybody knows him as Jimmy Jeffries, who I believe has been with Homeland Security the last several years. Before that, he was administrator for City of La Follette, a long-term law enforcement officer, ran for sheriff against former Sheriff Goins, fairly narrowly lost that race, and now he is deciding to step up and run as a Republican for county mayor against our incumbent mayor, who's been mayor for one term, Jack Lynch. Guys, what's y'all's thoughts there?
Well, I'll start out with Jimmy's been a city administrator, and that of itself is an education of how things are run. Jimmy did run strong against Robbie Goins. He will put up a very strong effort against Mayor Lynch. Now, Mayor Lynch is also no stranger to getting out and knocking on doors and talking to the people. Nor is Jimmy. I remember when he ran for sheriff, we were working with Coach Bruce's campaign, and we ran into Jimmy a lot. So Jimmy's not afraid to get out there and knock those doors.
No.
The commission races are what really are going to shape how the county is ran. They really affect you a lot more than the county mayor is going to affect you. So that, like you were talking about, that entirely all new, or a large portion of new
John,
county.
people are saying if you don't stop clicking that pin, they're going to come down here and shoot you with paintball or something.
Welcome to come on down and shoot me.
People, I just looked at the comments. They said we are at Pingate right now. So for those of you that are commenting, we are watching. I've got a Sharpie pen. It doesn't click.
I don't have.
I was given a clicky pen, so I got to click.
We don't give Patrick anything that makes noise for a very
And nothing sharp.
or anything sharp.
If the results don't come in soon, I'm going to get them start dancing.
Well,
We have our handy dandy timey jingles, but I'm going to spare everybody the rest of those.
I was about to say that seems like it would be fun.
Well, I'll click the pen while I dance.
Well, now I will say this too. We have actually an interesting November election coming up. We'll be electing a new mayor of the city of Carroll.
Yeah, that is correct. You wanna
Which
talk
we
about that a
normally
little
would not have. Beth Lawson is currently mayor, following being vice mayor for a number of years. And when David Chambers stepped down because in retirement, his workload was because he found other employment in his retirement. There was a lot of workload, so David stepped away. Beth became mayor. But the way Tennessee Code Annotated works, she will hold mayor until the next election cycle.
Yeah.
Now, what's interesting there is the seat she occupied will also wind up being up, I'm pretty sure.
Interesting. Now, we do have a comment from a Times viewer who says they want to know if Pat will put John in some type of wrestling move over the pin clicking.
I mean, I could go all Baron Von Raschke and do the Iron Claw.
I'm sure the 10% of Times viewers that are watching that know about that thought that was.
10% may be generous, but I'm sure some did.
But also, in that November election, City of La Follette will be electing council members.
George Hook says he loves the clicking. And Times viewers, again, we're just kind of chatting right now, killing time, waiting for early voting to come in. If you've got some questions, we're actively watching on here, so feel free to drop something. We can chat about it. Just to give you a heads up, the most important race of the night, which is the sheriff race, Eddie Wayne Barton II is leading with almost 67% of the vote. Darrell Chapman, 33% of the vote. That means that the current sheriff, Sheriff Barton, is leading Chapman by over 600 votes. There were roughly 2,000 write-in votes. So can Darrell Chapman close that gap?
You mean early votes?
Early votes, yes.
So that would be a lot of write-in votes.
Yeah, no, excuse me. Thank you. Yeah, 2,000 early votes. But it's very unlikely that Daryl Chapman, unless he mounted a very strong early voting effort, it's very unlikely that he's going to overcome that. So, very confident, at least from my opinion, I'll let you guys weigh in, that Sheriff Barton's going to remain our sheriff for another 4 years.
It would, like I say, it would take a miracle early voting turnaround for Sheriff Barton not to win. And
you've got to take into account that statistically, a fifth of those early votes come from the 5th district where Barton is strongest.
I mean, it would be a lot to overcome. He would have to get, 80% of the vote, of the early voting.
Yeah, and then looking at some other contested races for the night. The close race seems to be county clerk. County clerk. I keep wanting to say county court clerk. But the county clerk race is going to be very, very tight. Maria Baird Parton, who ran for the office 4 years ago, lost to Todd Nance, worked in the office before that. She's been working for the past several years at Powell Clinch, very friendly face there. She's currently leading with about a little over 53% of the vote. And then Lance Wilson has 46% of the vote. Lance is a small business owner, owns Wilson Gas, younger guy in his 30s, father to some young kids, seems like a great guy. I don't know him very well personally, but everything I've heard about him is great. So you got two really high quality people running for the Republican primary.
Interesting thing about that office too is there will be no incumbent running.
Correct.
Todd Nance is moving on from that office, which again, there will be an independent challenger, but no incumbent.
Yeah.
It's been a strange race between those two tonight too, because neither have ran like overwhelmingly strong in any particular polling place. It's like, Lance is one of the few polling places up the valley or in the 5th district. Maria's won some in the 5th district and some down in this area. It's just, there's been no pattern, so it's a very tight race. Early voting could swing that race.
Also, there will be no incumbent running in that 2nd district school board race. One of your compatriots is retiring from school board.
Yeah, Sharon Rodner, who is one of my favorite people in the soul earth.
Former director of schools.
Former interim director of schools, former teacher, worked at central office, just an all-around awesome lady, has decided it's time to hang up her hat. So I did get a text wondering, hey, how do the Republican races work? Who's going to continue to August? So great question. So Tom's viewers, for those of you that may be confused, because it is very confusing, everyone who ran for the Republican nomination for county commission will end up on the August ballot. So the top 3 vote getters in the Republican primary automatically advance.
And there was not a primary with more than 3 candidates.
Bingo. There were some with less than 3 candidates, but none with more than 3 candidates. And so that means anybody who wanted the Republican nomination for school board is automatically going to get it. So they are going to be for commission. So, for example, I'm thinking about Ray Perry. Ray Perry is a newcomer, long-term community activist. He leads the Pinnacle Resource Center, thank you, which helps get people in poverty and those facing homelessness back on their feet. He is involved he's the chairman of the county's opioid abatement council, involved in all kinds of different things. He is running for the Republican nomination in county commission, the 4th district, which is Caryville and the city of Jacksboro is the best way to look at it. Also includes Stony Fork, Vasper, Cherry Bottom, those
the lower end.
The lower end. So Ray Perry, Chris Stanley, and Nathan Treadway, we're not even showing any vote totals for those because they are all 3 automatically going to advance from this. This is basically a formality.
And there's 3 independents in that race.
So the interesting thing will be...
That's the litmus test for the arm.
Bingo. The interesting thing will be come August, what happens in that, right? Come August, you get 3 votes. You could theoretically vote for 1 Republican and 2 independents, or 3 independents and no Republicans, all Republicans, no independents. What's going to happen?
Theoretically vote for 1 person.
Bingo.
And undervote the other 2.
And then you look at the 3rd District County Commission race with Dwayne Baird. Dwayne Baird, long-term county commissioner, runs People's Bank in Jacksboro, does a great job. I'm proud to be represented by him. He decided to shed that independent label that he's had to wear for all these years and run as a Republican. The only incumbent school board member who decided to run as a Republican.
Commission leader?
or commission member. Thank you so much. You can tell what's on my mind. And then we've got newcomer Anthony Terry. So there will be 2 Republicans on the ballot for the 3rd district, and then several running as independents. When is the next city mayor race? Somebody just asked that. We're going to have the next city mayor race for the city of La Follette in 2 more years. So in November will be the city council race. There will be, for the city of La Follette, there will be 2 seats up for that. Those will be the incumbents of Chuck Queener and Stephanie Grimm. Those 2 will, I don't know if they're running or not. I hope they are. They both do a fantastic job. I'm a citizen of La Follette representing us.
Now, in Carroll, not only will there be a mayor's race this year, there'll be another one in 2028, because this mayor's race is for the unexpired term.
That's correct. And then the city mayor race for the city of La Follette, and then 2 more seats will happen in 2 more years.
Just got another report from the election office that apparently they came out and said it may be a while still on the early voting totals. So
Text a tad ago.
So great question. So somebody asked, why are early voting ballots not already counted since it had ended before today? And the reason for that is election integrity and security.
You do not crack those machines until
you don't crack them till 8 p.m. And part of the reason for that is, say that Patrick is one of those folks counting early votes, and John and I are running an election. He could come to me and say, hey, Brandon, you're only behind by 30 votes, do something. I could drop a ton of money trying to beat John. There's so many different things that could happen in that week time period where folks could really influence the election. So those by state law are required to stay sealed.
from what we understand, it's not the early voting that's taking so long. It's
confirming
the write-in names, which that may mean Travis Thompson has a lot of write-in names if they're taking this long to have to confirm them.
Yes.
So, but it's confirming those write-ins, and it's just apparently probably a signature printed. You know, people have different types of handwriting.
We're calling it early voting. It's actually early and absentee voting.
Early and absentee voting. Early voting is a much larger number than absentee as a rule, though. But it will be every vote not cast today will be counted,
and it's right at 2,000.
Yeah.
So that's a lot of ballots to look through, looking for signatures.
Now, and saying it's right at 2,000. Just looking at the sheriff's total, and again, there are some people that don't vote in all the races. More people early voted than voted today.
Yeah, and we will have an exact number for folks that early voted absentee. And you know, absentee can include folks in a nursing home, individuals of a certain age are allowed to absentee vote, military, etc.
Elderly, infirm, people stationed overseas or out of Campbell County in the States. But
yeah, the interesting thing will be, do the Democrat and Republican parties keep this up? Do they continue to have the community to hold a primary election?
I mean, the sheer cost of it, I wouldn't think it's worth it to me. I don't care for it. I would rather just have the August Journal. You know, that's just my opinion.
It's worked well for 30 years.
I mean, why spend extra money on something that really hasn't caused a problem before?
Yeah,
especially considering the party that pushed hardest for it had one petition picked up and turned in.
Yeah, I was concerned about this, as you guys know. Several of the folks watching, I've been involved in partisan politics in the past. Worked on campaigns from the local level all the way up to presidential level. I'm not sure that partisan primaries are the best path forward for us. I think we have been really, really lucky that we've not had to have them for the past 30 years.
Honestly, I mean, you're voting for your neighbors in these elections.
Yeah.
You don't need people. Everything doesn't have to be a partisan fight.
I don't care the party politics. And I'm going to pick on Brittany. I don't care what the party politics of my registered deeds is. I mean, I appreciate that she feels strongly enough about it to run it. I'm not down in her.
Right.
That's just the race that literally I was looking at.
You mean there's not a conservative or liberal leaning to how she registers your deed?
I know, right?
And I mean, you could juxtapose and have theory all day long. You know, if you have a Republican versus a Democrat county attorney, is that going to influence the way that they their legal advice. You know, you could have all kinds of weird arguments,
There
but
could be some people who vote for laws and rules and regulations and taxes and things like that. I could see that maybe, but
yeah, and I'm not going to out a lot of our folks that have held county office over the last 20 years because they may have wanted to stay private about their voting history. In Tennessee, folks, there is no such thing as a registered Republican or a registered Democrat. No such thing. I'm personally glad for that. Some people want that. I don't know that that's the healthiest path forward for us at this point. But if anybody ever says, "Yeah, I'm a registered Republican," and they live in Tennessee,
They're not.
they're not. They're confused, and that's okay.
They strongly believe it.
They strongly believe it. They may have always voted in every Republican primary. You know, it'll be interesting to see going forward how this changes it. When this was starting to happen, I actually reached out to the chairperson for the Democrat Party, had a very long conversation with her, and just said, "Hey, is this needed?" Right? And my concern on this was from a tax-paying standpoint.
well,
You know?
that's the big concern you got. Any money that it costs is money that could be better spent somewhere else.
Yeah,
That's my opinion of it.
Absolutely. I'm standing for a second, so if y'all want me to get taller, it's not
Yeah, these seats can wear on you after a while.
Yeah.
Like, for example,
I mean,
what did we say,
sometimes clicking it in.
69,000 for this election? Was it 69?
I'm not seeing the complete total for what tens of thousands of dollars is what this election
Well,
costs.
let's say round it at 70,000.
Well,
Well, what is $70,000 we could have invested otherwise into the community, like Boys and Girls Club, Special Olympics, Careful Cares?
Yeah, absolutely. And I'll tell you one thing that
that's a teaching position.
Yeah.
Schools.
one thing that I've advocated for a long time is if you look at the town of Jacksboro, they have their election a really wonky season. Heck, I'm not a Jacksboro resident, but I forget about when even it's held. And they only get 100 votes because the only thing that matters is that municipal election for, you know, their town mayor and their board of aldermen or city council. I can't remember what they call it.
They do it in April, and there was a point that Carroll also did it in April in my lifetime.
Yeah.
But because Carroll wanted more representation for their voters, we moved it to the November slot.
Exactly.
And the big election for mayor always runs concurrent with the presidential election, so it's a guaranteed bigger turnout.
Yep.
And you get better representation that way.
So again, folks, this election that we're having today, is for the primary election for the county races. So today was the primary for the county races, which will be in August. In August, you will see all of the county races be decided, sheriff, county mayor, etc.
And as we said, except for the races we've mainly been talking about, 2nd District School Board, sheriff, and county clerk, everybody on that ballot moves on to the general.
Yes.
And that includes the Democratic ballot with Marvin Ruther also moving on to the general in his race in the 2nd District.
Yeah. And then you're going to see an August race, and then you're going to see a November race. So in August, things like our Republican nominee for state representative is going to be decided. You're also going to see our Republican nominee for the governor of the state of Tennessee. And, between, Marsha Blackburn is the favorite to win there, running it in the race as well. So you've got Senator Marsha Blackburn, you've got Congressman John Rose, and then you have State Representative Monty Fritz, who are the three main candidates. You always have some other folks, but those are what I would consider the three serious candidates for the Republican
And
nomination.
the other thing you've got to remember, Marsha Blackburn is the favorite. So was Boyd.
Yeah.
A few years ago.
Randy Boyd was leading early polls, and then, Bill Lee came in and has been our governor for the last 8 years.
And I'm not saying that's going to happen with Senator Blackburn. I'm just saying things have happened.
Well, this is a big election cycle as well for the county.
Yeah.
That election in 2 years that someone asked about for Scotty gets a seat for the mayor and all that. That's the smaller county election where it's
That is half the school board.
half the school board, no commissioners. Is it?
It's half the school board, property assessor, road superintendent.
It's a small election compared to this one. This one coming up in August is the big one that will shape your Campbell County government for the next 4
And
years.
that's providing that 2-year election that no one leaves office and there has to be a special election.
Yeah. And here's something interesting I'm hearing from my friends in Scott County. They're 100% of the votes in Scott County are in.
So they had no right.
They did not have a write-in campaign that seems to have maybe clogged the wheel a little bit. But they had Let's see. About 3,000 people vote. 3,800 people vote out of 13,000 registered voters in Scott County. So smaller county than we are. But that means
it's tracking the same number.
Yeah, almost 30% of their population voted. So that's interesting.
Now, I'm curious if they had any seats that were officially going to be decided tonight.
You know, they only have 10 precincts in the whole county and one opposed race, which was sheriff.
Oh, so same as us.
Yeah.
And probably no Democrat running.
Correct. Well, one countywide race opposed, I should say. So, it's interesting. Again, folks, we are hanging out, waiting. Thank you for bearing with us. We're definitely keeping the folks down at the Election Commission in our thoughts and prayers right now as they're having a really hard night. But folks, just the races that matter tonight. We're looking at sheriff, Eddie Wayne Barton, with what we believe to be about half of the vote in. So what we're looking at right now is between 2,000, around 2,000 votes on election day were cast here, is what I am estimating, between 2,000 and 2,200. So about half of the vote totals are in right now. In totality, Wayne Barton has 70% of those.
I just got a message from someone at the election headquarters. They said they were just now allowed into the building.
Oh, that's good news.
That means that the results should be done quite quickly.
So it does look like, barring something catastrophic happening, it looks like Wayne Barton is going to remain our sheriff. Looking at the county court clerk race, Maria Parton has 53% of the vote to Lance Wilson's 46. So only about 125 vote difference. Early voting is can make or break this race.
What is the voter turnout for this election compared to like the general election? It seems, if I recall correctly, around 10,000 votes are normally cast in the general election for sheriff. 10 to 11.
Yeah, but you're gonna have a much lower turnout here than you are for county mayor, county sheriff in your traditional office cycle.
Well, there's some confusion. There's some people, like you said, I'm not a registered Republican, I can't vote.
Yeah.
That's untrue. There's some people, there's dyed-in-the-wool Democrats that are never going to vote the Republican primary.
Yep.
And that's just the nature of politics.
Our other big contested race for the night is the Republican nomination for school board in the 2nd district. Right now, Chris Honeycutt is leading Emily Gaylor. He's got 62% of the vote. Again, about 100 votes separate them. Could the the early voting change that? Maybe.
That's a small enough margin that we've seen it flip. A few years ago in the Follett City Council race, the late Mike Evans, he was leading by a fairly wide margin through the voting. But Philip Farmer, I think it was Philip Farmer that ended up beating him in that election, got just a large amount of early votes and came from maybe 80 to 100 votes behind and won that race.
And some of these,
and honestly, that's from the same area, that same district. That's from the city of La Follette area.
And and some of these not that are contested tonight. We had 2 races last time that were decided by less than 10 votes.
Yep.
I mean, if I'm not mistaken, that 1st district commissioner race was a 1-vote margin, and then Judge Jones was a 6-vote margin.
9 votes. 9 votes. Yeah.
Lisa Fields won her school board seat by a very slim margin.
Wasn't it like 2? I mean, it was
2 to 3 votes.
Oh, it was like
that. So some of those really close races that tend to crop up across the 1st district a lot.
Yeah. So, folks, again, we're just patiently waiting on early voting.
But they are inside the building. They are inside the building.
Well, I'm impatiently waiting. I'm not picking this not clicking my pens driving me crazy.
Pen gate may turn out to be the most exciting thing.
I mean, George Hook supported me clicking the pen, so I may go back to it.
It is hard to argue with George Hook.
I support George Hooks in every election.
But folks, please continue to put your questions, comments in the chat here. We'd be glad to talk about them. Any questions you may have about this process? Because again, it is very confusing. And again, I want to really briefly just give a shout out and thanks to those folks that went out there, reported the precincts: Claire Cass, TJ Heatherly, Dana Miller, Sophia DeMont, Dwayne Mailman Kitts, Carmen Rott, Holly Edders, Tammy Shepard, Carly Huguenard, Eli Lawson, Al Miller, Chloe Wright, Jeannie McDaniel, Veronica Bolton, Samuel McCullough, Lindsay Lawson, and I am
And Jeremy Young.
And Jeremy Young, thank you. He's off my list, but we appreciate Jeremy. I am getting a call, Kelly Jo, that Jimmy Jeffries, our Republican nominee for county mayor, would like to try to call in and have some comments.
I'll call him right now.
Perfect.
Also, I want to give a big shout out to my friend Jill watching up in the 5th District. She's following us here on the Times.
Your call has
And yeah, again, this is made for some interesting races.
And is Josh still with us? Or did Josh make
No,
it back?
Josh is still right here. As a matter of fact, hold on, I'll
We didn't know
bring
if
him
the
back
blizzard
on.
got him or not.
Whenever these votes, we finally get these, we'll have the entire totals for each race to be able to give Josh so he can fill out our sheet. It should have the totals for every race. We'll get to the contested ones first, and then we'll read off every total for every candidate across the ballots. That's assuming there's not a riot going on there at the election headquarters.
Which is also entirely possible.
Okay, I'll put the picture up. 1 second, I'll let you talk. I'll put you on speaker. Okay? Put him on speaker. We're amplified here, so you should hear it well.
Jimmy, good to hear from you. And congratulations on being a Republican nominee.
Well, thank you. Yeah, I'd like to thank everybody out there who's voted for me to allow me to be the first Republican mayoral candidate in 30 years. And I'm looking forward to bringing Campbell County's conservative values to the ballot in August. And I'd just like to ask everybody out there to remember you have to vote twice. This election, this was just the first part of it. You know, I'm uncontested in this part of it, but in the general election, I'd like to ask everybody to vote for me again.
Jimmy, this is Brandon Johnson. Glad you're joining us tonight. Can you talk a little bit about what inspired you to run and what kind of your platform is going to be? You know, what issues are front and center in your mind in Campbell County, and why should folks vote for you?
So kind of what inspired me to run is the fact that we're losing so many jobs in Campbell County. So many people have to travel outside our county for jobs, and we've just lost several jobs in the past. Lost two of our biggest industries in the past couple of years, and that's a lot of what inspired me to run, is just to try to recruit some jobs. And understand that there will always be people who choose to go outside of Campbell County to work, but I'd love to bring more and better paying jobs into Campbell County, so folks at least have the ability to work in Campbell County if they want to.
Now, Jimmy, I mentioned earlier, you were a longtime public servant in the city of La Follette, especially the city administrator role. I feel like gives you great knowledge of the workings of government. Do you feel like that's going to help you in the county mayor role?
Yeah, I absolutely do. As city administrator, I learned the general workings of local government, and I learned a lot about how the grant process works. I learned a lot about how that just local government in general works, and I feel like that really gives me. I made a lot of good connections during that time. A lot of good connections with folks who can help Campbell County, and I'm looking forward to bringing that experience and everything to the table as county mayor. And as county mayor, my platform will be jobs, infrastructure, education, and improvement of county services, and that's what I want to see happen as county mayor in Campbell County.
You mentioned infrastructure. A lot of people don't necessarily always think about it. What do you feel our biggest infrastructure challenge is currently?
I know that on the residential side, I know that we have, that not everybody in Campbell County has, city water, for lack of a better way to put it. And you know, with new industry coming, also comes the need for new infrastructure, because you can't run industry on residential infrastructure. So as new industry comes, we'll have to build our infrastructure up to support that industry.
Great.
Correct.
Speaking about infrastructure, Jimmy, I'm curious, you know, we have heard a whole lot of conversation about this potential development trying to go in here in Campbell County, you know, 600 homes, etc. What's your thoughts on that? How would you kind of handle that situation as our potential next county mayor?
You know, I don't have all of the information on that. I know what I have read on it and what I've kind of seen, but you know, prior to making decisions like that, I like to have all the information in front of me, and I really couldn't speak to that because I don't have all the pertinent information that I would need to make a decision on something like that at this point.
Absolutely. Well, good news. I think there's still lots of us just in the same boat as you are, still trying to gather the facts, figure out what's going on, you know, whether these 600 new homes are a good thing for Campbell County or not. And I'm very fortunate that I don't have to make that decision in my elected capacity. John, what would you like to ask our Republican nominee for County Mayor, Jimmy Jeffries?
Well, this has been a controversial topic lately. How do you feel about the data centers that have been moving into the Jellicoe, White Oak area? And you speak of infrastructure, the massive infrastructure needs they require.
Again, that's one of those things, and I hate to say this, but that's one of those things that I don't have all the information on. My focus. This is more toward jobs for people in Campbell County, jobs that will help people in Campbell County. Of course, we will have to have housing to support that. We will absolutely have to do that. But my jobs are more focused towards the jobs for folks for Campbell County. Data centers do require a massive amount of electricity, and I'm not sure if we have the electric grid up there that can withstand that or not. We definitely want to hurt our citizens, with their electrical needs.
Well, Jimmy, we appreciate you for calling in, and once again, congratulations from all of us down here, and good luck on your journey into the general election. I know it's a lot of hard work.
Thank you very much. I'm looking forward to meeting everybody out there between now and August, and would like to ask you for your vote, and everybody out there ask them for their votes, and I'll work hard as your county mayor and be available to you.
And Jimmy, we do have just one question before you get off the phone from a viewer who said, I'd like to ask him how he's different than the mayors over the last 25 years.
How I'm different?
Yes, yeah. What this voter wants to know, what you might bring to the table that other candidates or individuals that have ran for mayor or served as mayor over the last few decades. What's different about Jimmy Jeffries?
I can't speak to what other mayors have brought to the table over the last 25 years. What I can tell you that I bring to the table is a strong work ethic. I will work hard for Campbell County, whether it's in Nashville. I believe in spending our money wisely. If there's grants that are out there that are 80-20 grants, I believe in spending our money 20 cents on the dollar.
Yeah.
I will work hard to bring jobs in. I believe whether we have to go to the next county or the next state or 5 states over, if there are jobs out there, we should be bringing them to Campbell County if we can. So I can't speak to what the other mayors may have or may not have done. The only thing I can tell you is that what I bring to the table is work ethic. I'll work hard for the folks in Campbell County to bring jobs back to Campbell County.
Well, Jimmy, I've known you for a very, very long time, my whole life, I think. Think the world of your son, Ethan. Think the world of your mom. Think the world of you. And I'll tell you one thing I know about Jimmy Jeffries, you're not afraid of work. So thanks for calling into the Times tonight. We really appreciate it. And congratulations on being the Republican candidate for county mayor.
Well, thank you. I appreciate y'all.
We'll see you on the campaign trail, Jimmy.
All right. Thank you.
All right, that was Jimmy Jeffries. He is a Republican nominee for county mayor. He will battle Jack Lynch in the August election.
They're waiting on Newcomb and one other. Something is not able to be electronically transmitted, and that's the holdup. So now we're just dealing with the glitch, but the good news is It's just one, possibly two locations they're trying to work through.
And that's just the nature of Newcomb does not always get the best cell service. So sometimes it is hard to transmit electronically. I mean, we've had, that's not just a 5th District problem. We've had folks out in Demery and other places in the past that have had trouble getting their results in.
They do have the new, really nice internet there, so I think it's probably more likely a voting machine issue.
Yeah. And couple things real quick. Folks are saying, what's taking so long for early votes? Great question. The folks at the Election Commission are working their tails off. What's taken so long is likely the combination of some IT problems paired with we do have a really strong write-in campaign for the first time. And so those are the two things that are taking so long. Somebody else yet again asked, well, why didn't they count the votes early? They've had them for a week. Well, folks, again, the best illustration I can think of that is, let's take Patrick Peebley here. Patrick is the vote counter of early votes. I'm running for county mayor. John Muse here is running for county mayor. Well, Pat finds out that John is very, very, very slightly ahead of me. And so he comes to me and says, Brandon, you're 20 votes behind in county mayor. So I made up a whole lot of money. You know, there's so many things in that process that can influence the election. The goal of early voting is not to be able to count the votes quicker. It's to give folks a bigger opportunity.
It's a convenience for people who may have to work in Knoxville on a voting day and either have to look at taking the day off or getting there real late.
Again, not everybody had the day off. I mean, the courthouse was closed, the schools were closed. This was a work day for everybody else. Yeah.
Yes, yeah. We did give our employees time to go vote if they wanted to.
Hey, I want to give a shout out to somebody who is one of our. We shouted her out a couple of times. Well, you know, Sophia DeMott. This may be her last time as one of our vote total getters. And she will be going to cheer in college, and will be cheering in college next election. Well, actually, maybe not the August one.
I've got his number. I think I've got it, Brendan. I think I've got his.
But Sophia's been a big part of this, and she had her driver's license.
And Kelly Joe has given us a sign. We've got another call in.
I'm good. How are you? Are you ready to go on? All right. Okay, one moment here.
Pat, you want to lead the charge there?
Dennis Powers, first off, congratulations on your retirement from the insurance industry.
Oh, well, thank you. 37 years is a long time in any one industry like that, but it's been a great ride. And
I remember you were such a good neighbor to Rome State back when your office was in the mall and I was a student there.
Yeah, I was. I actually taught a class, a college algebra class at Rome State when I had my office down there. So I really enjoyed getting to be next to Rome State and get to meet a lot of the students and faculty while I was down there.
Yeah. Representative Powers, Brandon Johnson here. Good to hear from you tonight. What is your thoughts on this primary election going on, and how does it feel to have an election where for once you're not on the ballot right yet?
Well, it's a little bit odd in one way, and I know that the primary is kind of a new thing for us, but it have one like 30 years, I believe. But I've been trying to get on and find out some information that's going on tonight. I'm in Nashville, as you probably know.
We talked about it.
Yeah, I had a special session called, and we've had, oh man, it's been crazy. The protesters down here, the worst I've ever seen. And I've seen a lot of bad protesters, but I mean, this is one where, you know, they were shoving you and trying to get through the crowd. It was really bad today.
Interestingly enough, Representative Powers, we almost had some shoving going on here. Our correspondent John Muse was clicking a pin earlier very aggressively. The Times viewers were starting to riot on the online chat. Patrick Peebley here almost put him in some type of a slobber knocker, I think is what he was going to call the wrestling move. So no, I kid. But can you tell us a little bit about what?
I hope they weren't bussing in anyone to protest.
Yeah,
that's what happened does.
I don't know. I see some angry folks outside, but no. Can you talk a little bit just about what you're doing in Nashville? We've been killing some time here in full transparency.
And we talked about it a little bit.
Yeah, but
you know a lot about it.
Yes.
compared to us.
Yes, it's actually what they've looked at because of the recent Supreme Court case, which involved the 1965 Voting Rights Act, and what that was back then, they had some districts had to be drawn up according to racial boundaries. I mean, and it all went back to the long history of maybe unequal representation for black people and everything. But what they looked at right now was that they really shouldn't be any kind of gerrymandering due to any kind of racial boundaries. So in other words, you shouldn't have a black district drawn up just for that, or Latino, or Asian, or white, or no matter what it should be. It ought to all be equal. It ought to be based on geographical.
They should make sense.
Yes, right, and of course equal representation. They'll all be the same number of people basically, but they shouldn't be drawn up just to help or to hurt one particular race or one particular group. So that's what we're looking at, and due to the recent Supreme Court decision, that's what they decided to do. We're going back and looking at the districts and drawing up and making sure that everybody's represented fairly, but nobody is represented or targeted unequally.
Now, in a special called session, now I just want to educate the people, like from a municipal level or a county office level, if we have a special called meeting, we can only discuss what's on the agenda. Is that very similar to a special called session?
It is, and what they do, the first thing that they do when they come in, like this morning, we had a rules committee that went in and set up the rules for the special call session, and so it can only be for certain things, and it has to be held this way. And generally when they call that, now the other things can be proposed during that time, but it has to be voted on whether or not anything else can be introduced after that point.
Now, Representative Powers, I got a question for you. So I've got a big concern. I know you and I kind of spoke briefly about this. Got a big concern that Campbell County, right now we're represented by two wonderful congressmen, and Congressman Fleischman for most of the county, Congressman Burchett for part of the county. There's been all these different potential maps going around with how we could be districted. And my big concern is that Campbell County could be roped into a district that's mainly Middle Tennessee representation. Is that a concern for you? Do you have worries? Where do you think we're going to end up at the end of this, or is it too early to tell?
Well, I do know one thing, and this is basically what they told us today. I haven't seen a map. Nobody's really, the maps have not really been distributed to anyone. We will probably see those tomorrow. But one thing that I do know is the District 1, which is up in Upper East Tennessee, District 2, which would be Tim Burchett, and District 3 are basically going to be, none of them are going to be changed. If they are, it'll be very, very little. It'll be Districts 4 through 9. We have 9 congressional districts, so those will be the ones that will be affected the most. And as you know, whenever you change a district, even one of them like that, it's kind of a domino effect. It'll affect the others too, but 1 through 3, they're telling us will be affected none, or maybe just very tweaked a little bit. So I don't think that we have anything. We're not looking at any kind of change for the 3rd congressional district that we fall under.
Oh, that's good news. Well, Representative Powers, shifting from policy to politics, you got a race coming up in August. You've got a primary challenger for. Is this the first time in your career that you've had a Republican primary challenger?
Well, no, I've actually run before in a primary when we were first running. The first primary I had was in 2010 when I won the primary. I was running against the incumbent at that time. He wasn't going to run again, and he changed his mind, so we ended up running in the primary against each other. I haven't had one since that point, but it's everybody. This is a great country, and everybody has the right to be on the ballot as long as they get qualified to be on the ballot. So I always look forward to it, and look forward to getting out and talking with everyone and meeting everyone. But we have a lot of the a lot of the same ideas, maybe just a little bit different, but I have nothing but respect for my opponent, so I will make sure that we get out there and try to get the word out about what we're trying to do and what we've accomplished and what we're trying to do in the future.
And you're in that unfortunate spot where you almost never get to not run because your office is only a 2-year seat.
That's true.
I feel like you're unfortunately stuck in a near constant campaign.
Well, what we kind of kid about down here is you get 1 year off and 1 year on. So you get 1 year where you're not campaigning, and the next year where you are campaigning. But basically, that's the way it was meant to be. When the founders were drawing up the difference between the House and the Senate, they wanted the House to be the people's house. They wanted that to be the one closest to the people, so that we're out there in the public, at church or at Walmart or wherever we might be, whatever place we might be, out there talking to everyone and getting to meet the people and being with them closer than the Senate would be. And that's the way the founders drew up the U.S. government and the way the states have drawn up the state government. So I think it's a good idea.
It works. It obviously works.
Yeah.
Well, Representative Powers, I think we're going to shift and keep taking some more calls. You got anything final you want to say to the folks in Campbell County? We'll have, by the time this is done, we'll have thousands of viewers on this stream. So.
We've had 17,000.
I'm sorry.
Say that.
Yeah. Oh, Pat was just saying we've had 17,000 unique viewers so far on the stream.
Wow.
Yeah,
That's
and
great.
so some of them have watched for 2 minutes, some of them for 2 hours. So.
Well, that's great. We all are doing a good job. I've been watching a little bit of it. I've been trying to go back and forth and keep up with the totals and everything. And I look forward to getting back in the county. I think we're going to wrap this up probably by Thursday or
So a quick session.
Friday. Yeah, it'll be 2 or 3 days. So I'm looking forward to getting back out in our district and getting back out talking with our constituents. And I look forward to seeing you all and seeing everybody out there in a very near future.
Feel free to run by White Castle on your way home, drop it off at the house.
I love White Castle. I mean, I don't know why they're so good.
But they are.
Dennis, thank you so much. Have a blessed night.
Thanks, Dennis.
Thank you all. Appreciate the call.
Thanks.
See you.
Okay, we had some people asking about results,
Next call.
whether they had missed results or not. Now, we're just waiting on the results to come in from the election commission still. Sheriff Barton has a large lead in the sheriff's race, much tighter race for the county clerk office and that second district school board race. All the other races are, of course, decided because they were unopposed, essentially. But we are still waiting. There's still delays at the election commission. Some issues with some voting machines possibly in a couple of areas and with writing candidates. So, yes, the results that we have up so far, Sheriff Barton has a large lead and Maria Bearpart has a small lead.
And Chris Honeycutt has a pretty decent lead.
Now, for the size of his district, yes. So, we are still waiting on results. Nothing we can do about it. Our hands are tied. We know they're working hard down at the election commission office. So it just is what it is at this point.
It's Noah Smith.
Or welcome Noah Smith, who is
Can you
running.
hear me?
I can hear you. Can you hear us?
I can hear you very well.
Awesome. Noah, are you in town or are you jet setting today?
Well, I was jet setting today. I just got to Atlanta, so I'm walking through the terminal now. I ended up doing a maintenance flight down to Mexico and back. So
Oh, wow.
I'm back home tomorrow, which is exciting.
For those of you that don't know in the audience, Noah is an airline pilot.
Yeah.
So, but Noah, you're also running in the Republican primary come August.
Yes, that's right. Yeah, I'm running in the August Republican primary for state rep. So I'm glad we had this. Seems like hopefully 4,000 people turn out to vote today, but sadly I wasn't on the ballot today. I'll be on the ballot come August the 6th for state rep, and I'm very excited about that.
And the winner of that will move on to the November ballot.
Correct, yes, and unfortunately there's no Democrat running, so it will be just whoever wins the Republican primary in August for the state rep race.
Noah, what are you looking to use as your platform as you run for this office, and How are you going to differ from Dennis Powers and what you're out there looking to put out into the community?
Yeah, absolutely. I think the most important thing is, from a national level to a state level, is that career politicians have continued to let us down from all levels of government. We need term limits at all levels. We need term limits from D.C. to Nashville. And we need someone in there that will listen to us, represent us well, speak for us, answer our phone calls, take our messages. And, we've been in there for almost 2 decades. You lose sight of who sent you there. And that's exactly what we've seen in D.C., and that's exactly what we've seen in Nashville. So the thing is, career politician, being a voice for everyone in Campbell, Claiborne, and Union counties, and getting things that we need done here at home. We've had a lot of issues, especially with our school system. That's a policy point that my opponent and I differ on. We need jobs back to the district. We've lost jobs, especially in Campbell County. There's a lot of things at the state level we've lost out on. So we need someone with the energy, stamina, and professional experience, leadership experience to do, things, get the things that we need here at home.
No, let's educate the electorate a little bit. Obviously, Campbell County is the biggest county in this district, but you also have some other spots in the district.
Correct. Yeah, the District 36 House seat composes all the people in Campbell County, all of our good folks in Campbell County, but it also includes Union County, and then Speedwell and New Tazewell in Claiborne County. So it's a 2.5 county district. But Campbell is definitely the largest voting population in that district, which is, I would assume, my opponent and I are running out of Campbell County.
Talk a little bit about your background and some of your accomplishments today. You're a very accomplished young man, though.
Well, I appreciate it. I love Campbell County. I've been born and raised here. My family's the Ayers family. That's what a lot of people don't connect, is because my last name is Smith. But Hack Ayers was my great uncle. He was the state representative from 89 to 91. My grandfather's R.L. Ayers. So I've come from a great family on the Ayers side, but also on the Smith side. Graduated from Campbell County High School, but I was elected to the school board shortly after I graduated. I graduated in May of 2018. I was elected to the school board in November of 2018. Still a special term. So I was elected to the school board in 19, served, even was vice chairman of the school board at the time. Decided to, after college, started to not seek re-election. And I think we need a lot more politicians to realize that if you don't have the time, energy, and stamina to devote to the position, then you shouldn't run again. And that's what we need. That's exactly what I decided when I didn't run again for school board. After that, I worked for President Randy Boyd at University of Tennessee, and then from there I became an airline pilot, which is what I do now. It's a very flexible job. I have probably about 20 days off a month. And other than that, I go flying every once in a while. So I like to say my full-time job is campaigning, and my part-time job is being an airline pilot, and I love it.
Now, as you said, you're part-time, you have plenty of time and plenty of free time. Explain to the people a little bit how a legislative session works, because you're not constantly in session all the time.
Correct. And that's what some people, I get that question a little bit, how are you going to be able to fly and do both? But, my opponent was in insurance for 3 decades while also being a state rep, and everyone has a second job as a legislator. But yes, the legislature usually only runs from about January to roughly about the end of April, May, depending on what the session has. So I'll be able to take the time off, take the leave off that I need to fully devote my time in session. And then when I get out, you'll be seeing me just as much as you're seeing me right now, which in the last several months we've been able to go all over the county, all 3 counties, and show up for the people, because that's what they deserve. That's what we deserve, is to represent them, to show up.
And you're also someone who has direct family in the school system still and everything. So how do you feel like, that affects you? Because you still have a lot of younger siblings.
Yeah, absolutely. I have, my mother was a school teacher before she retired. My grandmother was a school teacher 30 plus years before she retired. I was on the school board, but I have 2 younger sisters at Carroll Elementary School. And then I also have two siblings at Campbell County High School. Also have a sister and a younger brother who's graduating this year from Campbell County High School. And we do have a lot of issues in our school system, as we've seen, and we've got a lot of things to address. But one of the things that I think people neglect is the state likes to flaunt, all the things they passed, like, the $50,000 base, salary for teachers, but they use it as an unfunded mandate on the counties. And that's why we had to cut our budget again by $1.6 million, is because of the unfunded state mandates that they passed down to the counties. So there's a lot of things we've got to do to fix our schools.
And that's not just school system. There were times when I was serving in Carroll, we had to deal with unfunded mandates.
Correct. The state loves to tell you what to do without giving you the funds to do it. So then it's left up to county municipalities in order to fund it. Just like the $50,000 teacher salary. That's a great headline, but when you dig down to it, the legislature passed it, and then they didn't fund it. So what they do, they pass it down to counties, and what did we have to do? We had to cut 12 teacher positions, 12 or 13, I can't remember the exact number. So we essentially lost jobs. We put people out on the street. So it's not the way to do government.
And
less government, less regulations. I'm a true conservative, a Trump conservative. We need to cut the red tape. Cut the spending is what needs to happen.
Well, no, I hate to cut you short. We've got some more stuff coming in. It's
Well, it's all good.
It's good to hear from you. We are still waiting on early voting. But I know that we'll be seeing you out on the campaign trail.
Oh, absolutely. I appreciate you all volunteer times. I've known you all for years, and I really appreciate you all, especially Kelly Jo, Pat, Brandon, John, all of you all.
Noah, sorry we got to go.
Glad to help.
I didn't even get to ask a question, but we'll talk soon. Thanks for calling in.
Thank you, Noah. Good luck.
Yeah, no problem. Thanks so much. See you all.
Thanks, Noah.
See ya.
All right, folks, we are still waiting on early voting. This is the largest. We don't know exactly what's going on, where there may be a holdup.
Eli Lawson is just texting, little quarterback boy, waiting on Wellsprings. I think is the only one left. They said they apparently have forgot a scanner or something, and they're still gonna. They're saying it's going to be a little bit longer.
I remember at one point
They had to go back and
I was
get it.
down there and it was delayed. Someone had to just drive the results back down from Elk Valley that year.
And we've got somebody asking if you can put up the percentage, Kelly Jo, for the sheriff number. Sheriff Barton's got about 67% of the vote currently. And Kelly Jo, do you think can we get our precinct workers to text these to Josh and have him update them so we can start filling in this big rubric?
Now his is. I'm sorry. There we go. This is what he has at this point. This is all. I mean,
This is not every precinct. We're still missing a few. We are missing Wellspring still.
But all of the big precincts, not
I
counting
think the
early voting, is
biggest
here.
precinct that we don't have an official count for is Jellicoe Elementary, but we understand that Sheriff Barton won that by a very large margin.
Josh.
Yes, ma'am.
Do you care to take the sheet that you're looking at and just go through there and start and just name off, of course, the hot races? We know we just want the sheriff numbers, obviously the county clerk numbers,
and
then second district school board, with Honeycutt and Emily.
Yeah, absolutely. So we've got Eddie Wayne Barton leading Daryl Chapman in the Republican primary for sheriff at Campbell County. 1,234 votes to 610 so far, with not all precincts reporting, but 66.9% lead, or 66.9% of the vote going to Sheriff Barton and 33.1% going to Mr. Chapman. And then in the Republican primary for county clerk, we have Maria Parton leading 974 over Lance Wilson at 849. It's a pretty tight race, 53 to 46% there. Let's see what else we've got that's been reported in. A lot of these are going to have zeros because they're uncontested races, or we do not have them reported yet. We've got School Board District 2, another hot contested race there with Emily Suzanne Gaylor at 135 votes at 38.7% of the vote, and Christopher James Lee Honeycutt with 214 votes at 61.3%. And I believe that is all that we have reported so far.
Thank you, Josh. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
And we will get the complete total numbers of every race, and we will have them posted. We will have the sheet filled out just whenever the votes finally are finished at the election commission. So it was unprecedented in my experience for it to have taken this long, but that's just the nature of the beast. Sometimes this is the first primary election in 30 years. Machines have trouble sometimes, and we've mentioned the write-in issue that they were apparently having to confirm each write-in name as being correctly, somewhat correctly spelled, and to be able to confirm that's the name that they were indeed trying to vote for.
So again, it's a brave new world here. I'm not used to the August and November elections taking this long. So, but we thank everyone who's been bearing with us. So we are rapidly approaching 19,000 unique views.
And another big thank you to all of our sponsors for making this possible.
And they're on the crawl,
including Eagle Tire over here. Brandon's modest about it, but he does a lot for the community and a lot for us. And it just, really thankful for him and every sponsor that we have. And Kelly Jo is showing you those guys. So support those businesses. They're all local businesses. And, it helps us get information out to you when you support your local businesses.
And I want to say something. I know, it's just terrible of me. I'm a wretched capitalist, but people have reached out before and said, hey, maybe, and again, don't judge me, but they're like, hey, are you going to get advertisers for your stream? You know what? I probably should, but I think that it's our duty to get this out to you immediately. And I just don't want to use it as an opportunity to just make some more money. I am putting every advertiser that supports us 24/7 on the screen. They're the ones that support us, and they're the ones that, of course, we want you to support in return. But we just, and again, nothing against anybody that is. I just always had a conviction that this is something that we should be doing. It's our duty for the community, and I don't want to sell it. So I apologize for some of you who reached out and said, hey, are you going to do every?
But if you are an advertiser,
you're on here
to support streams. Football season's right around the corner.
It is, and I'll totally take your money for that. Yeah. So anyway, that's why, and also because we can attempt to get you some of these results really really quick. So anyway, thank you for that.
And something to add, I'm getting some. If you guys see us looking down or anything, we are texting constantly. Poll workers, folks at the precincts,
answering questions,
campaigns, trying to answer folks' questions. But my goodness, it must, when I ran for the Board of Education, so I'm proud to serve Campbell County's 3rd district, which is basically all around the National Guard Armory, up the 4-lane, kind of off both sides of the 4-lane, and all the way to Rose Hill and West Follett Baptist Church area. So I've got a large chunk of right at the heart of Campbell County. But I knew with about 95% confidence that I had won by about 8:05 p.m. So when they posted the results, I had a large enough margin, and I knew the percentages that unless something just went crazy and off track, I knew that I had won. And I was so relieved because on election day, all day long, you are there, you're working, you're talking, months and months of hard work, thousands of dollars. These campaigns are incredibly expensive to run if you're running a really competitive one. And I cannot imagine what it must be like to be one of these candidates right now. Even Sheriff Barton, who has a commanding lead, barring something just insane and unprecedented happening with early voting, he is going to remain sheriff. But even to be in his shoes, I can't imagine what it must feel like right now.
Yeah. It's just, it happens sometimes. Sometimes it's the nature of the beast.
This is actually went the opposite of the way I thought it would. I thought we'd be here about an hour and a half tonight because there were only 3 truly contested races.
Somebody just-
Right, we're April here.
Somebody said, how much longer before we get the early voting results?
Well,
That is the question of the night. Brandon Norman, question of the night, my friend.
Yeah, we've normally wrapped this show up by 9:30 every election so far. And
Sometimes even earlier than that.
If it went long,
the races were long settled before 9:30, but I mean, call-ins, everything else were long wrapped up by 9:30. And I'm not going to lie,
So what
I'm pretty hungry.
for me,
I'm
one of
off
the
now.
benefits of being in Denver, it's only 8:15.
it's only 8:15. Rub it in. Rub it in.
We put Josh on a live snow cam from Denver.
Is it snowing outside your window, Josh?
It is pretty intense snow.
Yeah,
It's
just show
supposed to
it.
snow
Yeah,
all
let's
night.
see it. Send us a snow
I-
picture.
I think I tried to show it earlier, but somehow I managed to.
You're in the hotel
mess
room. As
that
long as you're
up.
wearing pants, we can get you over to the.
I'm not.
Get to the window there and let us see the snow.
Never on a live stream, so I'm not
Oh,
sure
wow.
if you can see there. Yeah, it's covering the tops of the
You got a good
buildings.
view. That's beautiful.
Some of the buildings up there, you can't see the tops of them because the snow falling at the higher elevations.
Wow.
Um,
Well, it's a far cry
Denver's
from what we've got here.
pretty good about their snow control. They have little ATVs with snow plows on them running up and down the streets, getting it cleared off and everything. So pretty.
Oh,
neat,
they have
pretty
ATVs that
fun
do
to
it?
see. It's like what do you call it? Side by side, like gators.
Yeah. Well, that's
Yeah.
cool.
So
You're probably the only person in the entire state of Colorado who has any interest in who's going to win Campbell County's.
Since Ethan Jeffers moved out of there from Colorado to Maine, you're probably correct. I'm not sure that Ethan had that much interest in it anyway.
And folks, again, we are here just hanging out. If you got questions, comments, concerns, drop them in the chat box. We are monitoring them, but we are just actively waiting on the early voting totals to be released. So it appears as if early voting is going to have roughly the same number of votes as election day. So it could definitely change a few things, but just to remind the viewers where we're at, with 67% of the vote, Sheriff Barton is leading the ticket. Daryl Chapman's 33%. Very tight county clerk race. Maria Parton currently in lead, but with a little over 53%. Lance Wilson currently trailing with 46%. But that's only separated by about 125 votes, so really close. We're looking at the school board Republican nomination for the 2nd District to replace Sharon Mills-Rodner. You have Chris Honeycutt with approximately 62% of the vote. Again, about 100 votes separate that race. And we're looking at about 400 people roughly early voted in that district. So early voting could change some things. Probably not, but it's definitely a possibility.
Now, speaking of the school board race in the Republican primary, where early voting is really going to be a thing, is will Travis Thompson be on the general election ballot?
Yes. Yeah.
That's one of the big things going on with early voting right now.
So for those of you that may be unaware, Travis Thompson saw some of the things that the Board of Education was doing after the deadline to turn in a ballot. So typically, if you want to run for office, you go down to the election commission, you do some paperwork, you've got a ballot, you've got to get 25 names on there, take it door to door, family, neighbors, any registered voter in your district can sign it. You take it back, it's certified, you are on the ballot. Well, after that period passed, Travis Thompson saw a lot of things that he thought the Board of Education could do better and decided he wanted to run. So the only way for him to run was to fill out an application to be considered as a write-in. He has to get 5% of the votes, the registered voters in that district. So 5% of the registered voters have to write him in. From what we understand from the Election Commission, that may be part of what's taking a little longer tonight. The other part of what's taking a little longer is some issues that we've been told with the voting machines. Now, this is what we're being told by our friends at the Election Commission. We don't know that to be a fact. In fact, 5 minutes ago, I was told by somebody waiting at the Election Commission, they seem to be unloading some machines from cars. Now, whether those are machines that were backups or voted in today, I don't know.
They bring back all the machines to the. I've been down there before. They bring the machines back down to the Election Commission after the polls have closed and all the votes have been counted. Normally, the process is the machine quite literally prints out a sheet that shows you the number of votes and who they voted for.
Which is what we're looking at on our phones when we're getting totals.
Then people from the various polling places bring the machines back down to the Election Commission office. Now, where we had somebody, we've gotten all those results so far. But we didn't have anyone at Wells Springs, and that's one of the holdups right now. Not because we didn't have anybody there, but it's just they apparently had some machine trouble. And then otherwise, the early voting, as Brandon's mentioned, it can't be released early. Just because you voted early, it still is not counted until 8 p.m. on election night. And they have to verify the signatures from early voting. They have to verify the signatures. Verify the names on the write-ins from early voting and the general. And it's just everything's combined to take a couple of extra hours tonight so far versus what would normally be a fairly quick process.
Yeah, and in fact, at least in the last 20 years, I think this is the longest that it's taken.
That's
very much
longest in my memory.
On what we thought would be a pretty simple, easy election night.
I
We jinxed it.
Expected to be at home, probably watching Simon and Simon at about 9 o'clock.
Johnny saw your comment. Thank you so much, Johnny. I really appreciate that. Johnny Jones, great guy.
Our 3rd district constable.
Our 3rd district
Our
constable.
former police chief in Carroll. We always appreciated Johnny Jones in Carroll when I was there.
Did a fantastic job. Well, while we're killing time, I guess I'll go ahead and give folks just kind of an update on exciting things going on with the Board of Education. As you all know, we had a whole lot of conversations recently about 2 things. One was our director of schools. Director Fields stepped down. She is still serving in an advisory capacity, but she has stepped down. And so the Board of Education did what I think is our most important decision in working to find a new director of schools. We have named Charlotte McCoy as the interim director. She has to serve as interim for 30 days before she can officially be approved. We, this evening, reached the final details of a contract between the Board of Education and interim director McCoy. That was actually at 5 o'clock tonight. We had our last meeting on that contract that's going to talk about, the terms and conditions and all those fun things. So I anticipate that we'll have unanimous approval for her contract at our May meeting here in just a couple weeks, and she'll be our full-time director. And we're offering her a 37-month contract, so we're really excited about that. Just passed a budget. I didn't vote for it, but we passed it nonetheless. Some really tough cuts as we've experienced. Costs are going up. You guys have seen it at your homes. You look at fuel, insurance, et cetera, et cetera. Costs going up. Our enrollment going down. Unfortunately, most districts in the state of Tennessee, especially rural districts, are losing students. There's this misconception that we're losing students to like other school systems or whatever. No, roughly 80% of the students we lose are not going to a different school system in the state. They're going to a private school, or most of them to an online school like Penn Foster. So when you got costs are up, enrollment's down, you got a budget crisis. So we've had a pretty hard budget discussion over the last few months. So the good news is things seem to be back on track. We got a budget the county commission approved, even though it wasn't a budget I didn't love it. At least we got a budget in place, and so we're moving forward and ready to wrap up the school year.
Now, could Campbell County run its own online school service?
Great question. Yes, and we're going to.
Breaking.
No, yeah, surprise. No. We actually enrolled the first student in our online school within the last week. A lot of those details are still coming out. How exactly that's going to be structured, what that's going to be looking like. Can't share all those details yet because I don't know them yet. Director McCoy, interim director McCoy, has just been on the job a few weeks. She's already hit the ground running, folks. Working. I've seen her at our school several times. I was at Carrollville Elementary last night. They had a great stream night, which is where they come in and they have students doing projects and families come in. It was Star Wars themed, so I really enjoyed it. But Director McCoy was there. I think we're going to watch the high school play later this week together with some of the other board members. She's really hit the ground running. But yeah, great question, John, to answer it very long-windedly like normal.
And when Brandon says he doesn't know all the details, please understand, as a school board member, he is involved in policy making and budget, not day-to-day operation.
Great question. You wouldn't believe how often we'll have somebody call and they'll say, "Yeah, what's going to happen here?" And a lot of times people at that school or a parent at that school may know before I do, because yeah, that's a great point, Pat. Your Board of Education, it's a kind of a common misconception. Decades ago, the Board of Education was in charge of hiring and firing.
Correct.
And there was an elected director of schools.
A superintendent of schools.
Bingo. And so that switched, and now the Board of Education, we supervise one employee essentially, and that's the director of schools. And there is she runs the 750 employees. So
Actually, Director McCoy has agreed to host our first when we're returning with the roundtable. So in the next couple of weeks, she's going to be doing that also, which is exciting.
The state did people ask this all the time. Why is there no elected director of schools? The state did away with that, the state legislature. So that wasn't a choice anybody in Campbell County made. It wasn't a choice the school board made. The state mandated that it no longer be an elected position. Many people want it to come back, but
that literally will take an act of Congress.
You will have to lobby your state representatives at that point.
yeah, great point. So to talk about an elected director of schools, my thought is I'm glad I don't have to make that decision as far as if we elect one or not. I do see a lot of merit in electing a director of schools. The voters have better control over that. Your big problem is there's no way that can be structured where you could ever have a director of schools from outside your community.
Correct. It narrows your field.
Yes, significantly. And when that may not be a huge problem for places like Campbell County, but big school systems like Knox County, Davidson County, they very rarely have a director of schools from outside their county. I am getting some news. Travis Thompson's write-in campaign has failed. So we just got news directly from Travis Thompson. He received 171 out of his required 230 write-ins. So fell short by about 50 write-ins on that.
So Ronnie Leslie will run unopposed in the August general, because you cannot now decide to be a write-in for August, correct?
That's correct.
That was one of the big questions on the night with the other races, is whether he could make that threshold. And unfortunately for him, that he didn't. I think he would have done a good job, at least campaigning, and he's been a long-time member of the community as well, as a local business owner.
And we are getting information about early voting starting to roll in. So folks, hopefully we'll have this wrapped up here shortly.
It's been lonely so far.
Eli is left all by himself. But he's hanging tough down there.
Listen, it can't be as bad as facing some of the rushes he faced this year playing quarterback for the Cougars.
Well, the biggest question now from the early voting mostly is going to involve the clerk's race.
It and Honeycutt's race with Gaylor are technically both close enough to be flipped by early voting. I don't think Sheriff Martin's is close enough to. I mean, in the most extreme case, obviously it could be, but it would be so exceptionally unlikely.
When you're playing the odds are that's not going to happen.
And people complain, and with big national elections, how did they call this an election
We
race?
got them. They're coming.
We've got the early voting real quick before we get those. I'll shut up if we get them quick. A couple of folks have some questions about some school-related issues. Good friend Chad Sweat said, "Hey, what's the progress of the Jacksboro Elementary School gym?" We are on the home stretch. We have had, if you've been in the newspaper or been reading any of the news reports, we've had significant challenges with the gym completion. I unfortunately can't comment a whole lot on that legally, but we've had some very, very significant challenges, lots of issues. But we believe we're on the home stretch. Somebody else said, why are school zoning rules not enforced? Great question. We do have some stricter kind of zoning rules. We don't truly have a great zoning system in Campbell County. It is a lot of times left to the principal's discretion of how many students they can accept. I did advocate for a much stronger, stricter zoning policy. That was not something that the majority of the Board of Education agreed with. I would like to see it stricter because we do have some schools that are declining enrollment, some schools that are overflowing. You know, we have a large percentage of students at Caryville, for example, without Caryville addresses. So,
because of the nature of that, you have things like suddenly Jacksboro Elementary, who's built for this many students, have just overflowing lunchrooms and things like that where they can't handle the population.
Yeah,
that ends up going there.
Yeah, great point. And again, just to recap, we are confident, as we've been saying for probably 2 hours at this point, that Sheriff Barton has won the race for sheriff.
His party may be over, and they may all be in the bed up there by now.
If I were him, I don't know if I would still be waiting up.
Well, it's rough for you because you get up early too for your work.
Yes. Probably not as early as I should, but.
Run his little victory. Back.
Fans, we're back. We are still technically waiting.
It should be a matter of getting the pictures taken and getting them sent to us now, because apparently they are released. Boy, if you've been with us this long, thank you very much.
Yeah,
I've barely been with us this long. My pen gate was like hours ago.
John, you pen gate feels like a week ago.
Politics, things move fast.
Pat's
to move on to something
3
else.
cigarettes since we've been here.
I don't even smoke.
But folks, thanks
I'm ready
for
to go back to El Pueblitos. That's where we're going to go to mine.
I hope something's open because I'm really hungry. I do
Waffle
have a
House is
text.
always open.
Oh, we got a text.
Okay. Are you still there, Josh? I'm not sure where Josh is.
Yes, sir. I'm here.
All right. I do have these. Let me see if I can get them organized. Looking for sheriff. Not found it yet.
Let's check Register of Deeds first if you can.
Register of Deeds. Not found that one yet.
Fans, while John's looking, I'm going to give a personal plug. If you are a wrestling fan, I would love to see you all on the Rocky Top this Saturday night for Tennessee Legacy Wrestling. Bell time is at 7.
So far.
Next time we do this, Pat, we're going to have times bingo.
Ooh.
And I apologize. I said Register of Deeds. I meant County Clerk. I don't know why I said Register of Deeds.
Well, I knew what you meant.
Yeah, I think we're getting borderline delusional.
Okay,
Thank you to my friend Zach.
District 2. We're going to get to that one first because I found it first. Absentee voting, Emily Gaylor, 8 votes.
Wait, I'm sorry.
This is absentee voting, School Board District 2, Emily Gaylor, 8 votes.
District 2.
Chris Honeycutt, 6 votes. Early voting, Emily Gaylor, 85 votes. Chris Honeycutt, 179.
So Chris Honeycutt is the winner of the Republican nomination for the Board of Education in the 2nd District.
And I found Sheriff next.
Give me
Absentee voting, Sheriff.
I'm sorry.
Wayne Barton 70, Daryl Chapman 20. Early voting, Wayne
Oh, hold
Barton.
on 1 second, John. I'm sorry. Forgive me. Give me 1 second. I was rounding out that school board. All right. So sheriff, you said, and we're looking
Sheriff,
at
absentee voting, Wayne Barton 70, Daryl Chapman 20. Early voting, Wayne Barton 1414, Daryl Chapman 528. So Sheriff Barton strongly carried early voting with almost 80%.
And for county clerk,
County clerk,
it's a very tight race.
absentee voting 52 for Maria Parton, 31 for Lance J. Wilson. Early voting 1,009 for Maria Parton, 847 for Lance J. Wilson. And now I'm going to give you the absolute totals of election day voting as well.
All right.
Maria Baird Parton ended up with 1,195 election day votes to 974 for Lance J. Wilson.
So Maria Baird Parton will be the Republican nominee for county clerk.
And in the sheriff's race, if I can find that one. Election day voting, Sheriff Barton received 1,526 votes to 698 for Daryl Chapman. So Sheriff Barton, it looks like, got around 2,000 total votes, and Daryl Chapman got approximately 1,240. Or pardon me, Sheriff Barton got nearly 3,000 votes total.
That is the biggest difference in 70% with over 70% with Wayne Barton to below 30% for Daryl Chapman. To my knowledge, that is the largest spread in votes that we've seen in modern history.
Very much so.
Very close race for the Republican nomination for county clerk. Lance Wilson, newcomer to the scene, ran a very respectable campaign, 46% of the vote. But Maria Baird Parton, very well known, wife of property assessor Brandon Parton, ran for this office before, has very strong name recognition, was probably the one throughout the community, in my opinion, that was favored to win this race. 54% of the vote.
But again, an impressive showing by Wilson.
Yeah. And then, most interestingly, for me, we've got a new school board member coming in the 2nd District for sure, with the Sharon Mills Ridner deciding not to run for re-election. So Chris Honeycutt with a commanding victory over Emily Gaylor, 62% to her 38% or so. In fact, actually, I need to rework those numbers. It may be even larger. But Chris Honeycutt is going to be the Republican nominee for the Board of Education in the 2nd District. So he will go on to an August race where there is an independent and a Democrat both running. So that will be the only race in the entire county where we have a Republican, a Democrat, and an independent.
Well, folks.
Yeah, Kelly Jo, I think that's...
Yeah, well, Wayne wanted to call in, and then Dina wanted to call in. So hold on, I'm going to try them one more time, and if I can get them, great. If not, I'm just going to go ahead and cut it.
Yeah, thank you guys for those that have hung out with us. This has been the longest stream that we have ever done with election coverage.
It was almost an all-nighter. We were literally 10 minutes away. We had agreed for Pat and I dancing in Turk would be in the background behind Brandon.
I think for the August race, if you guys could interpret the results through art and song and dance, our viewership would certainly go up.
Well, it can't hurt it.
I may even get Kevin to come in and play the Swag Days.
I do want to, and I want you all to thank Angie too and our other audience because she drove all the way up to Knoxville to help and offer her phone and
Everybody.
her services as well. Hello, and over there.
Especially thank you to Angie and Eli down at the election commission office.
Yeah, he kept apologizing. He said he tried to send the results in earlier, and he said his phone is not letting him send them to you. And anyway, he had a hard time. But
and big thanks to Carmen, who actually had to go back because of a snafu with the results posted at that school.
I'm trying to send the sheets to Josh as well to get the exact totals for every race, but I'm having the same trouble Eli had apparently because it's keeps saying unable to send.
Kelly Jo, you want to come do your final send off?
oh yeah, I guess we can.
Kelly Jo's prepared a song for everybody.
Oh, yeah. The whole interpretive dance thing. Let's see. Thank you to John and Patrick and Brandon for jumping in here and doing this every year. I'm always grateful to them. They do a wonderful job. Also, want to thank Angie for chiming in, for all of our advertisers, for everyone who participates with this, but most of all, for those of you who watch it, for those of you who follow us. It's 43,000 followers now, and it's like a blur. I don't even know how we got here, but we're grateful to you. You have no idea. We want to begin to use this studio, which is so much nicer than my living room, don't you think?
Yes.
Well, there's a few less dogs here, but we can remedy that. You and Brandon
All we
bring
need is
all
dogs
your
running around
dogs.
everywhere, and it's like, oh, this is perfect. So anyway,
I love dogs.
But this is working out really well for us so far. But we're going to put forth a whole lot of programs and stuff out of here very, very soon. Actually, starting some next week. So we want you all to be sure and follow along with those and give us some ideas too. This is going to be your space as well. Maybe you have something you want to put out, a show that you want to promote. We're happy to help you with that. But anyway, thank you for watching, and we'll go ahead and let you all close. I just want to say thank you.
Well, once again, thank you if you stuck with us this long. Congratulations, Sheriff Barton. Congratulations, Maria Parton. Congratulations, Chris Honeycutt. And all the
Wait,
others
Dina's
who
saying,
ran
hold on.
Oh, looks like we may actually hear from Sheriff Barton.
Maybe he's going to sing.
Instead, John, how about you pretend to be Sheriff Barton?
Well, I don't want to,
In fact,
impersonate
you pretend
a
to be
law
Dina.
enforcement officer. I'm not sure if that's constitutionally protected or not.
It is if it's satire.
Folks, we're waiting just
I
one
won't
second.
arrest you.
Yeah, before we just.
We're going to give Sheriff Barton just a moment. We'll hear from him within the next 30 seconds or so. And if not, we are going to tell everybody good night.
Patrick can sing. Ave Maria.
One thing I guess I'll say, just to thank the Times, Eagle Tire Pros and the Volunteer Times have paired up to recognize a student at our school every single week that are going and being recognized, all different grade levels, every school in our county is being recognized, regardless of what district. It's really cool to see all the students that are getting out there, that are accomplishing things. Accomplishment for every student looks good and looks different. For some students, it may be making an A on that exam. For some students, it's going to class or making a new friend.
Coming out of that shell.
Yeah, and so the fact that Eagle Tire Pros and the Volunteer Times have partnered together to recognize students in that way in our community is something I'm really appreciative of. That was a brainchild of Kelly Jo, the lady behind the camera, and the brains behind this whole operation. So, Kelly Jo, thanks for giving students in our community that opportunity to be recognized. So.
Okay, I'm just going to go ahead and make the call. Let these people go on to bed. We tried.
Folks, good night.
Thank you
Good
all.
night, see y'all. Bye.
We'll see you in August.
Thank
Hopefully
you.
A shorter election coverage.
Thanks, Josh. Thanks again, Josh. Bye.
Yeah, good night.
Morning to the Cumberland line, coffee steam, front porch view. Scrolling through your screen time, guess who's right there with you? Friday night stadium, lights on the hilltop shine. You're watching your kids score in real time on the Volunteer Times. Volunteer Times, where community comes first. From Hollow Roads to the Old Town comes first. Hey! We chase down the storm clouds, we laugh at the busted signs. Little town goof-ups turn to our favorite headlines. From fixing up Main Street to wild small business dreams, we turn local legends into big screen heroes scenes. So yeah, volunteer times where community comes first. From Holler Road to the Old Town Church, at your fingertips, every laugh, every line, 44,000 hearts on the same hometown time. With a shout, with a shout, with a verse and the rhyme. Volunteer times where community comes first. Breaking news in a blink, tap the screen, go linked. Cutting edge, mountain made, new ways to tell the tales that never fade. Every voice, every view, every headline we write. Feels like neighbors talking on a front porch night. Volunteer times where community comes first. From Holler Road to the Old Town Church, at your fingertips, every laugh, every line, 44,000 hearts on the same hometown time. With a shout, with a shine, with a verse and the rhyme. Volunteer times where community comes first.
Let me get out here, bro. Video. He waiting on you. I'll leave for the same vehicle. Oh, sorry. You got her? I don't know if I do or not.